What is up, YKTR Sports Nation? Welcome back into the YKTR Content Studio for a very special episode of the Sports Show. It's week 23 review time, rolling into week 24 preview. We'll also touch on the NRLW week 2 and preview that round. I'm joined, as always, by my boy, producer Jacko, and Triple OG, Willie Mason is back, baby.
Yo. Good?
Good, brother. How you been?
I've been good, man. A little bit busy. I'm glad Origin's over and all that kind of stuff's over. Doing some stuff, New South Wales Rugby League, the TAB, a few little things.
Always got something going on there.
Always got something going on. I'm always doing something.
It's good to have you back anyway. There was a
Bulldog
point.
stuff, like some more Bulldog stuff this year and
Yeah.
pretty much wrapping the year up and looking into next year. So we've got Ciraldo as the coach there, so stability there for another 5 years.
Yeah, let's get straight into that then, because we talked about it last week, 5-year deal. What's the feeling around the kennel at the minute?
It's good. I think they wanted Ciraldo. Gus wanted him, and usually Gus gets what he wants.
Yeah.
And I had confidence in Gus the whole time. And when it got announced, I wasn't surprised. But yeah, I think it's stability, especially with the players knowing that Ciraldo's there. He's apparently the next big thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the raps that I've heard about him from Gus, from all other players that have been coached by him. He's a player's coach, first of all.
Yep.
But his X's and O's are great. He's a defensive mind coach. He's got all the attributes to be a great coach. So different job being the big dog.
100%.
At the Dogs, you're not being the assistant coach anymore. You're front and center. You're copping all the hits. You're copping all that kind of stuff. So we'll see how he goes. It should be good. Just surround him. I think the whole idea is just to surround him with a good team of people.
Yeah.
Coaching wise, I think gone are the days of like you have an assistant coach. Defense and offense.
Yeah.
Like there's positional, there's more specific stuff. I mean, I know you're a massive NFL fan, so am I. Like, you got offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, quarterback coaches, cornerback coaches, wide receiver coaches, offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, all that kind of stuff. And I think rugby league is getting into that slowly, where your middles are totally different from edge, aren't they?
Yeah.
You're an edge player. I played in the middle, but I played on an edge as well, so I understand both sides of the field, left edge, right edge, and the middle. Outside backs are totally different. Wingers, fullbacks.
They're just guys that hang out with footy players.
Yeah, but the halves are so totally different. The 9s, 7s, 6s. It's a totally different game now.
It is specific. And the big point that I sort of was thinking about this too, when I obviously heard great things about Ciraldo, I always start thinking of coaching trees automatically. Some of the great players that came from Wayne that are spurred on through Sheens and Bellamy's. And, Robbo's starting to create his own tree. Now I think this is just like a version of Ivan Cleary's tree starting to sprout now, because I feel like when I hear Cam Ciraldo talk, very Ivan-like, very relaxed,
He is. He's a very relaxed character, Ivan Cleary, apparently, what I've heard. I haven't been coached by him. I don't know him personally. I know him because he's Ivan Cleary. He's
would have seen him around the traps.
Yeah, I've seen him around the traps. Say good day to him all the time. Apparently a really good coach, and he's starting his own little coaching tree, as you said. So
even the Warriors signed Andrew Webster as well.
That's it. Yep. That's what I was alluding to with the assistant coaches and retooling now at the Panthers.
Little things like what Gus has been teaching me. Like a lot of ex-players sort of rush into the job. They rush in. They think they can go straight into be assistant coach. Next minute they get thrown in as an interim, and they get put in at first as the NRL coach, even though they haven't done the groundwork of the 20s and the reserve grade and actually coaching full time, for these young kids. And I think a lot of coaches have made that mistake. They really want the first grade coach, where Ciraldo, 6-7 years, coaching younger kids, responsible for the To'os and Crichtons, Fisher Harris, Kickouts, all these kids come through. Nathan Cleary, Luai. You're talking kids that are some of the best in their position in the game. So I think they have an affinity of love for Ciraldo as well. So hopefully he can bring some over.
Yeah. Well, the thing is...
That's the thing. There's always one or two that you bring.
Yeah. I think one guy the name that's been tossed up a fair bit is Stephen Crichton, but even Willie Kickout coming out this week and saying it's just eased the tensions with that, that he might have had looking at Bulldogs at the start of the year now.
Birdo's, and now he's relaxed. He's like, I want to sign an extra 3 or 4 year deal extension. So that says a lot about Ciraldo. That says a lot about him.
Yeah, for sure.
For them guys to go, those guys to go, you know what? Now I want to stay here for another 3 years. So it's going to be Good 5 years, successful 5 years. Don't expect, Bulldogs fans, I expect us to be in the 8 next year and fighting for an 8th position.
Yeah, so do I.
Don't expect. But you don't know. Because look at North Queensland last year. Absolutely awful. Now they're going to be, I'm thinking they're going to be in the preliminary this year.
Yeah.
What's the difference? It's I don't know.
Todd Payton?
Nanai sort of come out of nowhere.
Yeah, Chad Townsend and Petahiku were only their signings.
There wasn't big signings.
We had them, and respectively, we've come out and said it a number of times. I had them
bottom four.
Last. I had them last.
I think I had him spoon as well.
I think I had them and Tigers. I was tossing up between them and Tigers, which is held true. But respectfully to the Cowboys boys.
What the Cowboys
unreal.
did this year, I heard from Toddy Payton and a few people, they pissed off the it's not social media, sports science. There was no sports science guru rolling around going, oh, no, you've done enough kilometres in your legs. No, just piss that all off, rip in as hard as you can, because he knows how defensive-minded teams are.
Yep.
Look how good they are defensively. I think they're a top 4 defensive side and top 5 offensive.
They were number one
as well.
pretty much
And they
the
were number
whole
one
year.
most of the year, right?
Yeah. They had a little period
So I
after
think
the Origin that sort of had a little
and
dip.
that always happens because they had about 6 or 7 players involved. So you can't
For the
really
first
expect-
time ever.
And they didn't really they don't have that much depth. They got a great 21, 22 players, but when you start digging into those guys that are playing reserve grade Queensland Cup, that's when you're going to struggle. So I think a lot of teams will be sort of maybe looking at Toddy Payton going,
For sure.
that worked. Especially if you're in the bottom 4, bottom 6, you're going to go, maybe this sports science shit isn't all what it's meant to be. Like,
If you give me numbers...
I don't mind the numbers, but like I saw some stuff around in the preseason, I'm like, that's not enough time to do that drill.
Yeah.
It's not a 7-minute drill. It's a 45-minute drill. And that's where the Bellamy's and all those, and Wayne Bennett's, they'll do drills until you perfect them.
Yeah.
Even Des Hasler's like that, like they're perfectionists, and Robbo and all these guys, they get these defensive drills and you nail them. You don't just do a drill for 7 minutes and 7 minutes here and then sports science, S&C comes over and goes, that's enough. Like there's got to be times for those old school floggings when you don't have anything left and you got to see what's in you. And you want to 100%. See everybody in that group who's going to push, and then you want to see who comes out on top, who's the leaders in fitness, cream rises to the top all the time. I think in some pre-seasons you don't really see that. You want to see these guys compete like animals.
Yeah.
These young kids going against the old kids, the middle guys, you've got the 25-year-olds trying to take out these 18-year-old kids or the best young kids, the old dogs, the 30-year-olds, 19, 20-year-old trying to take them out. You know what I mean? You've got to make things competitive in pre-season. You win comps in pre-season, you know that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think a lot of teams will be taking out, what North Queensland's done because, look, they're a top 4 team and they're a chance to win the comp this year. They are a proper chance to win the comp. If everything goes good, obviously they've got to play a perfect game against Penrith. I think they've got it. They can do it. I'm not saying they're going to win, but they can give it a shake. They can give it a shake.
Chance. And Mace, if you give me numbers to give myself an out, I'll take it. Which brings me to my sponsor, Steady Freddy.
Oh.
Mace, on this show we talk about champions a lot and try and pick who comes first. But in the bedroom, champions don't come first. Steady Freddy is a doctor-formulated, stop laughing, Jacko, delay spray that helps get guys last longer in the bed.
Oh, wow.
Look, it's nothing to be embarrassed about. Premeditated. I know, they just got PE. Happens to 1 in 3 guys, probably more. Take your game to the next level with Steady Freddy. Jacko, 5 of the best.
5 of the best. All right, let's go. Skip, we may as well start straight with you here. The big one was Jimmy Tamou, suspended, but it has been downgraded to the 1 game as you've got in here. So there was a lot of commentary off the back of that with obviously Jimmy's sort of stellar career. Guys like Gus and Trell calling for it to be downgraded due to reputation alone. What do you make of the whole Tamou situation?
So a couple of things that come into it. Obviously, people talking about the good bloke reputation that comes into suspensions, which is tricky. But in saying that, you're probably not going to get a 300 gamer potentially about to play his last game, if it is his last game. For me, I don't think it should have come into it, despite getting downgraded. I love Jimmy Tamou. I've had a bit to do with him. I played New Zealand Mouldies with him in 2010. Even he's the sort of guy that always gave back to New Zealand Rugby League. So this is why a lot of people were coming and speaking on his behalf, Mace. But it's a very slippery slope. And if you...
Yeah.
How many good blokes are there? There are more good blokes. I think every person that plays in NRL is a good bloke.
I laughed at it. Gal hit it on the head.
He did. He nailed it, I thought.
Who gives a shit? I'm not like this. Who gives a shit if he's a good bloke? If you do if you say that, the refs they're supposed to be respected. You can't come out there and say
Exactly.
stuff like that. I think it was an overreaction saying 2 to 3 weeks. It should have been 1 week and a fine straight away. Shouldn't even have been a big deal because what he said. I mean, the refs getting their little feelings. They don't like getting told to fuck off or anything like that. No one really does. What do you call him? Incompetent?
Incompetent. Fucking incompetent.
You're fucking incompetent, mate. And I don't think that made him feel really special, the refs. So we're just like, well, fuck you too. You know, I'm gonna report you. Everyone heard it on TV. Jimmy's lost his, he had a bit of a brain explosion. But they blew it all out. Like, it's not a 2 to 3 week suspension. It shouldn't even have been a big deal. It's 1 week and a fine. That's it. Regardless if he's playing 300, if his 400th game is for his 10th game or anything, because it is a slippery slope. You don't just go, he's a great bloke and blah, blah, blah. Who cares?
There's only a few lemons in the NRL. Most of them are good blokes.
Most rugby league players are good blokes. But, yeah, I think those excuses were like, I'm like, come on, man. It shouldn't even have got to that level.
Yeah. I think Cheese should have got given one as well. So that's sort of my thing on it. If Jimmy got one, calling him incompetent or a cheating bastard, essentially it's the same. It's just like probably the language is a little bit different and it was still with the same intensity. So I always
It was pretty intense. I love Jimmy. He meant every word he said.
Fucking oath he did.
Oh,
and so did Cheese. And I honestly believe both of them should have been given a game.
You understand that? Like when you lose your shit, you're playing your ass off and something's happened and you think it's the ref's fault. It might be the ref's fault, but like, it's a lot of self-discipline not to say anything. I mean, like, I think I was pretty blessed in the 2000s where they didn't really mic up the refs.
Yeah, that's coming to
the
it.
blow-ups were massive. You know what I mean? Some of the blow-ups that I've had at refs and said some stuff, I'm like, that'd be easy suspension. But usually I'd say it when they had their back turned. You know what I mean? And
so they didn't know where it come from?
Yeah, so by the time he turned around, we'd all be running back if we got penalised. Like, Yeah, and then everyone would be running back. You'd have about 4 or 5 blokes saying the same shit.
Yeah.
And it was way harsher than being caught incompetent. Way harsher. And Bill Harrigan or someone like that or Manda or anything like that, they'd just penalise you. And they'd march you just for the sake of it because they didn't know who said it. But now, because everything's televised, there's 100 different cameras and they saw Jimmy's mouth going, blah, blah, blah.
It's a bit of a lost art, the old March 10 when they spray it, isn't it? Now it becomes a whole big...
It's a big deal now. Oh my God, he got marched for 10. Oh, for back chat. Yeah, whatever.
Then it goes judiciary, etc.
Mudders Curran got marched on the weekend.
He said, why did you keep happening to us?
Mudders
Curran got marched.
He goes all right.
I love Mudders Curran. I
saw him with his shirt. I saw him with I saw his rig. I know what you call him, Mudders.
He's got a bit of shit about him. Don't worry about that.
No, I rate him. I reckon he's good. I reckon he's a good player.
Yeah, that it sort of sums up the Warriors too. The fact that they haven't been able to get him to be playing his best footy sort of sums up what's happened with the Warriors this year. But at the end of the day, I do like, and sometimes we take the piss out of this, Mace, but I do like the fact that times have changed and players should be. My biggest thing, and this is what I said around the Cheese time, was Cheese should have got one game, and if it happens again, slap him hard.
If you're a
repeat offender.
If you're a repeat offender, and because the refs are out there, and you've got to respect the refs.
And same as Jimmy, if he played on.
And everyone needs to respect the refs. They demand respect. They're out there doing their job. They don't deserve to get talked to like that. You know what I mean? Especially because what you're seeing and how it's being portrayed to that younger kid. Think of the ripple effect for the younger kid, the 10-year-old watching James Tamou tell a ref that he's an incompetent fuckwit. He goes back to his junior club or whatever, and he starts mouthing at the ref. So you got to think of the bigger picture. People don't think of the bigger picture. They just think of Jimmy Tamou, great guy, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, I get it. But young kids look up to Jimmy Tamou. Young kids look up to Munster, the Cheese, all these kind of guys. So you got to understand what sort of effect you have on the next generation. And because these younger kids need to be taught the right way, we're going to lead on and off the field. And when you're on the field, when the ref is supposed to be a respectable character on the field, and you're saying that to a ref, the look's not good for the game. And especially as a young, just say if I'm a 15-year-old, you're very impressionable and you might be this young wild kid out in Mount Druitt or Toronto West or wherever you're from, and you see, the Cheese or Jimmy Tamou giving a ref a spray. I'm like, well, that's my favourite player. I'm going to try and emulate that. Do you know what I mean? So
see, I thought it was the opposite a couple of weeks ago with the Cheese, but now that Jimmy's come out and done it, I understand what people have been talking about with regards to that.
We can understand from former players because you say some shit, some wild shit when you're under the pump, when you're getting beat. And the Cheese said that when Melbourne was struggling. Yeah. I think Jimmy said that when it was 66-6. You know what I mean? And Cheese has probably only lost 10 games in his whole career. Like Jimmy's been quite a successful player. He's done everything in the game and he was at his wit's end. Yeah. He was just he tries his ass off every single game. he's probably thinking, damn, I should be still at Penrith in grand finals. I should be making a run to the grand final. I should have another ring.
Just on Jimmy, do you think he hasn't really completely come out and said he's not going to play anymore? Do you think Jimmy goes around? I think Jimmy would be a good pickup for, you just say, for instance, you know how the Roosters have picked up
Matt
Lodge recently? If you were just because of obviously the accountability he took straight away and the sort of guy that he's been, 300 gamer. I feel sorry for Jimmy. It's been a kind of a month for him.
Yeah.
Obviously got robbed of his 300th game up in Townsville when they took the 2 points away from him. He didn't get to celebrate properly. And now he rolls into this. I hope Jimmy goes around again.
I think Jimmy, because he's 32, right?
He would be 32, 33.
That's young, man.
Yeah, 32,
I started
33.
my second stint in the NRL at that age. Come on, Jimmy. You got at least another 2 or 3 years in you. If he wants to go overseas, he will dominate Super League.
He's 33 and he'll turn 34 in December.
So that's
Okay.
a late. So pretty much
Go
it's
one
late.
more
He's
year.
33. So I reckon he's
Go
got
one
two-
more
I
year
reckon
at a
he's
good
got
club.
one more year in the NRL if he wants to be. I reckon he's got 2 or 3 at a good club over there. Go to Perpignan though. Hey, I've got some hookups over there. I'll ring the baguette up, see if they can get him in. Oh, they love me in fucking Perpignan. Anyway,
Mace's name is Mud in Perpignan.
I think that Jimmy has got at least one more NRL season if he wants to hang
So
it
do
up.
I.
1 or 2 if he's at a good club. The only reason why it looks like he's struggling a little bit is because he's at the Tigers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's expected to do everything at the Tigers.
You know where I'd love to see him go? Go back up to the boys. Go back up to the Cowboys, where
Cowboys,
you're
yeah.
not expected to play all the time. They've got good youngsters there. He'll probably be
his
called
role.
upon to chip in for 5 or 10 of the best throughout the year. Leadership qualities.
Yeah.
It'd be a great story for me,
I think
Jimmy
it would
Tamou.
be.
Go back up to the Cowboys, Jimmy.
And I think the important thing for Jimmy is to finish on a high note.
Yeah.
And just to be out on his terms. If he's done with the game, if his body's done or anything like that, but he doesn't look like it because he's a physical specimen.
He's in good nick, man.
Dude's always in good nick. So I just don't think, I think if a good club picks him up, like even like a Melbourne, you're losing Jesse Bromwich. You have Big Nas there and you can have a Jimmy Tamou.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
That's a good fit.
That's a really good shout.
He can finish on a high note, get coached by one of the greatest of all time. And I reckon his football, he might get another 2 years in a Melbourne system.
Yeah, you can go another 2
You
in
can
the
go
Melbourne.
another 2, I think, because Melbourne, you start winning, you have that winning culture, you're getting coached by the best, you've still got a great system down there. And I reckon he would slot into that role just like Jesse has. I don't think that's a
agree.
bad call.
That's a great shout.
All right, let's roll.
I think
along.
I could play in the Melbourne Storm system.
Oh, we'll go
Believe it or
straight
not.
back there. 5 minutes of fury.
5 minutes of
Tyson.
kick chase.
No kick chase belly. Just non-stop hit-ups and kick-offs. Dominant tackles. That's it.
All right, let's roll on. Scope, we're a little bit removed from it now, being on Wednesday, but it was big news, and I did want to get your boys' take on it. The Jaxon Paulo backlash and sort of wash over that, Mace. We may as well start with you here.
Yeah, straight into Mace. We talked about him 10
What's
as a
up with
can.
them? Like, what's up with these people, man? Like, after, just especially after everything that's been going on the last couple of weeks with the bullying and the Paul Green thing, and everyone's been sensitive to that, and then 3 or 4 days after, like Jaxon Paulo doesn't play his best game. I don't think anyone has to tell anyone who knows who plays the worst game. Jaxon knows that he's played the worst game. He doesn't need to hear it from some bum on his computer bagging the hell out of him. But what I don't like, I can just say if they started bagging him about his game, yeah, whatever. Like that's what social media is. There's a bunch of pricks on there. They're going to be mean. It's the death threats.
Yeah.
It's the 3 or 4 death threats that he copped. It's like what? Like where? What are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, what would you say that to a young kid?
It 100% stems back to gambling, Mace, for
it is
sure.
ga- it
It's
is-
people
it
that are
is.
gambling too hard and lost too much money.
But like the death threats,
100%.
I get it. I can get it. But I mean,
And that's no excuse, but that's why these fucking
I
lemons
know
are doing
exactly
it.
why. But I mean, like, how much of a low prick are you to try and have a death threat with this young kid? I don't understand that. I think it should be like a police matter. They should find these people. I've always said that you should be verified if you're on Instagram or Twitter, so they know your details and everything like that. So if you are this racist prick, or you're just sending death threats to people just because you lost your multi, or just if you're just a mean-spirited wanker, which is a lot of people are, you can find them and they can get. I'm not sure what you can do to them. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
what could you do? That'll never ever happen. Obviously, because it's a money thing. Instagram, Twitter, all that sort of shit. They make money off people being on that platform. But something needs to be done, man. What happens if the worst case scenario, that dude means what he says? That's what I always think. Worst case scenario, just like imagine he's down there with his family, and then that dude who said that death threat, well, he made the death threat, so he meant it. Do you know what I mean? Worst case scenario, he goes through with it. or tries to go through it.
If something like that was to happen, then
something like that
obviously
was to happen, I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. The police need to look into it and see who was making these death threats.
Latrell and Cody said he should come out and do it. I don't think he has, to be fair. I think he's.
But the cops should do it. They should just go, like, let's just go and see who these guys are if it's a real threat. Because you don't want that worst case scenario. That's the way I look at it. Just at least look into it.
Yeah, for sure.
The dog act anyway, man.
Yeah. And I think you hit the nail on the head. If anyone knows that he didn't perform, it's Jaxon. You don't need to be jumping in.
Imagine how that poor kid felt after the game, knowing that he let his team down. Like a couple of drop balls here and there. That was it. It wasn't a lack of effort. He tried to catch those balls, mate. It just didn't happen for the kid. You have those nights. I hope the kid gets back into first grade and he kills it.
Yeah, he's a nice player. He's already played in the GF.
He's a good kid, man. Yeah. You just got to. Hopefully he has some really good leadership around him, which I think he does with Latrell and Cody and all those blokes. They'll be around him, surround him. Look, the coach will probably go back. I think he's playing Reggie's this week. Go get your confidence back. We'll put you back up if you're ready. It's not career over for this kid. No. You know what I mean? Like, it's one bad game. I haven't seen that kid play a bad game. That's the reason why that Thompson kid was a beast the week before. And they had so much faith in Jaxon that they put him straight in and let that Thompson kid out. So now let's get a little bit of competition on the wing there.
Yeah, for sure. It's good for the team. He's got two perfect examples within the team, which will be great for him. One's obviously Troll, who's dealt with this sort of stuff before. I did the golf show with him. We dropped it last night. That's a little plug for the 19th, by the way. Go and check that out, the 19th. Great episode, but Latrell talked about early on in his career how he's now able to deal with trolls, and in particular trolls on social media and whatnot, and how he's more comfortable in his own skin and that stuff doesn't get to him. But he's always pretty vocal when stuff like this happens, for the boys to, stick up for themselves, which is a great representation of, someone within the club. And another great example was Lockie Ilias, Mace.
4 weeks ago.
He was having a rough game against the Dragons. He got pulled, didn't kick stones, ended up coming back next week, got knocked out early in the Knights game, but has only got better after those games. So
I think it's a reflection. It must be a reflection of Demetrio. I think he must have learned a lot of Wayne
They love
Bennett.
him.
A lot of Wayne Bennett, how he handles people management, how to talk to people after bad games and all that kind of stuff, and how to get the best out of him. I've got to commend Latrell for what sort of man he's grown into.
Yeah.
The last couple of years he's been under fire from racist remarks, all this kind of shit. People just trying to paint him as this bad boy, too aggressive. I love Latrell. I've always got a lot of time for him. Always keep in contact with him, and I always like to commend him on what he's done. Being injured this year, not even trying to get into that Origin side, the leadership that he shows in the Indigenous community, him and Cody Walker, and the way that he deals with people now. He's got a smile on his face, and he's destroying it. He's absolutely killing everyone. You know what I mean? His first 2 touches last week were line breaks. Who does that? That's unbelievable. I've done that since 2002. But he's been outstanding in the community and what he does. Yeah. Like, I think he deserves nothing but respect from everyone. He's a leader on and off the field now. He has copped a lot, and he knows how to deal with it now.
He knows exactly who he is, mate.
If you write anything racist or anything, he'll screenshot it and put it on. He's got about 200,000-300,000 followers, and everyone backs Latrell.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So they'll find these pieces of shit. You know what I mean. Like, he's got his whole mob there. He's got everyone. They love Latrell. Yeah. He's very well loved in that community, and the whole rugby league community as well. No one likes to see anyone get racially vilified, and the way that he's dealt with it, I just commend him. Because he's only 24.
You also love his comments that he just said in an interview recently. Talked about players come out, back yourself, get after it. I love that from him. He's so confident in who he is at the moment.
He's got some swag. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? What, he was rubbing his belly the other week?
Yeah. He's got a little mutters there.
Was he trying to say that he's looking ripped?
Yeah.
I reckon he was. He goes, I lost it. That's why I'm carving you motherfuckers up.
Yeah. All right, Scope, let's roll on to your boy, the Prez. Cam Munster has been in the news of late. So Braith revealed last night that they had a positive meeting, he called it, with the Storm, and then the Storm subsequently tweeted the signing emoji. What's happening with him, Skip? What's going on with your boy?
If it's not him, the Storm.
They fucked themselves,
yeah, I don't know. So we're filming this now? So that was, I seen Roasty posted that last night.
What happened? What is it? Give us it.
So the Storm tweeted signing news, and then they said it's going to be someone big. Obviously,
James Tamou.
Bro, Jimmy Tamou. There we go.
Jimmy T on
We've
his
solved
deal,
it.
bro.
We've solved it. Jimmy's coming up. He comes straight out of the judiciary. Boom. Pen to paper with Melbourne Storm.
Billy was waiting there like that. There you go. Sign your life away.
But if it's not Munster, and I
Well, they tweeted at Mays subsequently about 20 minutes after Braith announced that they had just been in Melbourne and had a really good meeting with the Storm. So everyone's assuming that Cam, because they're trying
Braith don't look after anyone else in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Let's not.
Yeah,
We don't have to be geniuses to figure this out.
So what time have we had? So what's the time now? 10
10 to 11.
to 11. Did they say when the news was going to drop? All I seen was Roasty's NRL roasts.
Typically, if they're going to hold some sort of press conference or whatever, it'll be around 2 or 3 p.m.
Yeah, so if it's not Munster, the Storm fans are going to be furious.
Oh, you'd be furious.
Yeah.
Braith
But who else-
Braith just loves Melbourne.
Yeah.
He just loves Melbourne.
Yeah. But he said it went well?
He said it went well. So the discussion, obviously, he's got a bit of a conflict of interest on 360s, but I thought he navigated it pretty well.
Okay.
No, he's
But they
doing
were-
good. He's killing it on
Yeah.
360. He holds that whole show together.
yeah,
Otherwise,
but-
they'd all have heart attacks.
Yeah, he's
Buzz
killing
would be
it.
falling asleep.
He posted the other day, since obviously this year the ratings have gone up like fucking 30% or something
Well,
compared
in
to...
terms of personality, like I love Ben
Oh,
Eichen
mate,
as
he
much as
holds
the next
that whole
person,
thing. Can you imagine that wasn't Braith there and you got Paul Kent and
you see Paul
Buzz
Kent tries
Rothfield
to...
and Ricky O, and that would be the boringest fucking show in the world.
Well, Braith said point blank, he said that they have come a lot closer than the 750 that was initially tabled. He said, we're a lot more happy with where they've come to now.
Oh, great.
And Paul Kent alluded to basically that means that they've hit the $1 million mark because otherwise you're competing with Redcliffe who have table 1, 2.
Yeah.
And there's no way that, you would assume, there's no way that Cam Munster's going to leave close to $1 million over 3 years on the table.
Well, that's big then. So it could be Munster
Is it a 4-year
today.
deal? Is it a 4-year deal what they're trying to get?
They're trying to get 3 years in Melbourne. I think Redcliffe were throwing the 4. So, if you believe the reports, we don't obviously.
No, I
know,
mean,
but
I
yeah.
understand. I mean, I'm
Well, if it's
friends
coming
with
from Braith,
I sort of
so
know.
it must be,
I understand
gospel.
what's happening in that whole deal. So
It would be tough for him
it'd be pretty
doing that,
close.
though.
It'd be pretty close. You know, like because I know what he's going to be earning this year, or what was he? When's his contract up next year?
Next year, so from November 1. So,
So he's
Melbourne
still
is trying to-
contracted to Storm next year, but it'll be for 2024.
24. They're trying
So
to get him signed
I understand
before
what he's
everyone.
on for next year.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to come somewhere near that. And if they do, he'll probably put pen to paper.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he wants to leave the Storm. I don't think he wants to start at a whole new club.
If you were to put yourself in Munster's shoes and the options were Redcliffe for 3 years on 1.2, let's say, or Melbourne for 3 years on, let's say, 900, that's a potential loss of $500,000.
For Munster being 30 years old, 30, 31,
No, he's younger than that. He's about 26, 27.
27, bro.
He's so young, bro. You think he's older? Yeah.
I'll find out,
It's
man.
because he's been around forever.
fucking debuted in 2011 or 12.
The cunt's been around forever. He debuted in my year, 15, but because he's
No
been...
way, he debuted in
He did. He
2012.
debuted in 14 or
He
15.
is 27 years old. His birthday's in 2 weeks.
When
There
did he
you go.
debut?
That's-
When did he debut?
I'll find out for you. Yeah, he's
13,
It's
man.
I'm pretty sure his debut game was against... I played
When
in
was
the
it?
Anzac game, 2015.
I would have played in that game as well.
Yeah, we
wouldn't I?
played against him.
That
yeah.
wasn't his. That wasn't his debut.
That was definitely Nelson's debut.
That was
I remember
Nelson's.
that.
Yeah.
2014.
I said the year
14, yeah.
before.
So I remember because I remember he said he was playing when I was playing with the Knights.
It feels
my
like
last
he's
year,
been
the
playing for
Knights.
20 years,
So
Munster.
2014. So was he 27?
Yeah, he played one game in 2014. Played one, lost one, and then 2015.
Would have been
he
against
dropped in.
us.
Yeah.
I would have ragdolled him. Anyway, so if he signs a 4-year deal,
Yeah.
and he comes off and he's 31.
Yeah.
So in that
32.
scenario, you'd
So
be losing
I'll-
$1 million by potentially.
Almost.
Well, you just got to have a look at what's happening now with Reynolds and Townsend. Reynolds signed, he's 32 years old, he's signed $1 million a year. So they've reset the market. So you're not going to be phased if you're an aging half.
Braith also touched on the idea of signing long-term deals, like the pros and cons of it. Obviously, long-term you want to sign because they lock you up. But a lot of the deals they're working in now, they don't take into consideration the cap going up. So that's kind of the Sonny Bill model of signing year to year, assuming there's always going to be more money on the table. So he's got that to think about too.
Yeah.
Signing a 2-year
He's a smart
deal.
operator.
How much
bro.
more can
He's
the
too-
cap go up?
He's too, huh?
Can the cap go up?
It's going up.
I
again
think
next
it'll
year.
keep going up. Yeah, it'll keep going up.
So that doesn't go with the contracts now.
Well, a lot of the contracts are kind of getting pushed through without that.
Contracts,
Well, a lot of that,
contracts
that's
have
from
always
getting
been back
because
in.
Des Hasler just
Yeah.
ruined 2 clubs.
Yeah, basically.
You know what I mean? Like he did that at when
I
he
didn't
signed
say
Chocky
that.
when he was like 38 on $1 million a year. Said thanks for your work in 2008. You know what I mean? Like you're getting back paid. Like I think big
man.
James Graham, he was on like the last couple of years on. I think he's on about 900.
Yeah.
Like playing hardly any football, but you're getting paid for what you've done. Which I get. I love that from Des.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I can't afford to pay you at your peak, but I'll get you at the back end. But that's when you cop shit from fans because you fucking cooked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You've already played your best football.
But the
you're
boys
getting
get paid.
But you know what I mean? I love the boys getting paid. I don't give a shit. And I love what Des did. Chalky deserved $1 million in 2012 and 13, but they just didn't have the cap space. So you got to understand that, and that's probably why a lot of clubs aren't doing that, because it really ruins the cap.
Yeah, if you get it wrong, but
if you do get it wrong,
it's got to be spine. It's got to be fullbacks.
Yeah, forwards you can't do that. It's got to be the elite players.
What's your thinking with Munster then? If he is to stay at the Storm, is that
I'm staying at the Storm for 3 more years, coming off when I'm 31, 32, then signing at Redcliffe for another 3 or 4 years until I'm 34, 35.
Yeah.
Right into the sunset, you're done.
I would I agree with Mace.
like that.
I would because of Melbourne. I know it's proven.
Yeah.
And then Redcliffe, there is so much uncertainties around Redcliffe
In
at the
3
moment
years,
for me.
Redcliffe might be all right.
Yeah.
They might be all right. They might be fine. I think I still hate it how they don't get the NRL didn't give them an unlimited cap.
Yeah, or
And
just,
they did, and
just a
maybe
top up,
wait 1 more year. They rushed right into it like they always do.
I think they're a year away.
They're a year away. They should have recruited, and then we would have had all these other kids coming off contract. So they put Wayne in a very precarious position, not a powerful position. But I think their cap there shouldn't even be a cap. That's what the AFL do when GWS and the Gold Coast said you can go buy Gary Ablett for $2 million. They should be able to throw that at a Cam Munster or whoever the best other kid off contract is. I think you should be able to do that to get those big guns at your team. You got to do that, and that's I think where the NRL stuffed up. They shouldn't have put a time limit or a cap on that new club, which they did.
I'll throw a curly one at you here, Scope, because it was off the back of that chat. I haven't put in the notes, but if Redcliffe don't get Cam Munster, Wayne basically just flat out came out in the media and said that they're going to go after Latrell and Cody. And did you see what Latrell's response was?
No.
He goes, I ain't no number 2.
Fuck, he's the man.
He's the man.
He sort of said it tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Like I'm not anyone's second choice, but you would know with Latrell, there's a bit in it.
Oh, he just would have been taking the piss out of Wayne.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
I think
he loves Wayne.
They've got that great relationship, and I think if anyone can get Latrell, it's Wayne Bennett. And Cody Walker's 32.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wayne as well.
And has he re-signed?
No, so Cody, I believe, both of them can negotiate from November 1, but they are locked into the South.
Latrell, Cody Walker, Ben Hunt, which we'll get to. I see if you've got it in the notes here next. Cam Munster.
He's getting at least 3 of them.
He's getting all 3.
I reckon he's getting 3. I reckon he'll get Ben Hunt, I think. I reckon he might get Latrell or Cody.
Before we get to Hunty, just sorry, Mace, cutting you off there.
That's good.
One last thing with Munster. You just mentioned it, it just made me think of it. If I was him, I'd Sonny Bill model it now for the rest of my career. He clearly plays better when he backs himself. I know my mate Prez is a gambler. He's punted on himself at the start of the year, because I remember at the start of the year they were talking about re-signing him, and it wasn't for the price that he was going to get to stay. I'd go another, if Melbourne Storm wouldn't want it.
Braith mentioned
No
that.
way they'd want
did
it.
he?
He mentioned how
Just
proud
play
he
it
was
out?
of him just basically, because Braith said we could have signed a deal at the start of the year.
Yeah, because
And
if
he goes,
this
"I'm gonna
doesn't work
bet on
out, just
myself."
say this is just a hoax. He just plays all the next year, backs himself to the hill. And I know he'll kill it next year. But he ain't. But in saying that, the flip side is they're not going to be as strong next year. They're going to lose Felice Kafusi, Kenny
Bromwich
Bromwich,
boys.
and the other Bromwich, and they've already lost Cheese. That is a big nucleus of their side. That's over 1,000 games. That is over 1,000 games.
But they're getting Jimmy Tamou.
You got Jimmy. It says 300, so you lose.
Tarek
700.
Sims is Tarek Sims has come down.
If you get Tarek Sims, and if you get a James Tamou,
Elise Katoa.
Elisa Katoa from the Wires.
So on the flip side,
I
Mace,
think Katoa is a diamond in the rough.
I love
He
him.
reminds me of Nanai, but they hasn't developed him. They didn't cultivate him the right way.
That's why we got you back in here, OG, just to put, what's the word?
He's just sort of crystallising your points.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Give my take some.
Just validate it.
Validate.
I think, and
Flip side, if he does with all these players moving on, and he goes even better next year, does his price go to 1.5?
yes, it does.
And the cap goes up.
Yeah, I mean he's in a position.
Storm
now,
won't want it to happen. Obviously, Storm want to sign
but he's
him.
in a power position.
Fucking oath he is.
He's in the most power position out of anyone in the whole competition.
The Hello Sports boys always talk about how Braithen Astor is now the most powerful man in rugby league because he manages Munster and has 360.
Yeah,
he controls the whole narrative.
He does.
He controls the narrative.
He does.
He's got everything.
Yeah.
Shout out to Boppy,
The Silver
man.
Fox. Just to clarify your point, Scope, Cody Walker last year signed a 1-year extension through South through 2023.
Do you not think that they hadn't had a conversation, Wayne and Cody?
Yeah,
like,
100%.
I know that you're off contract up there. I'll look after you at the back end. Sign you a 3-year deal when you're
You'll
33.
get someone.
Pay you $900 a year. Set off. Because I said, like, he can't. Like, I know he debuted at 26, but people have their peak. He's probably in his peak now. the last couple of years.
He's not going to get much
one more
opportunities to
year,
make
and the
more
options.
money,
And I know Wayne loves him, and he loves Latrell, and he loves Munster. All these sort of guys, and Ben Hunt, and they all love him.
Yeah.
So it's only a matter. He's playing chess, not checkers here. He's gonna. I reckon he'll get 2 out of those 4 that you're saying.
You know what would be fun?
And I'm not sure what 2, but what 2 would you go for? Hunt and Munster.
Munster's number
or
one.
Latrell and Cody. Who would you rather?
I would take Latrell and Cody, but that's maybe I'm just a prisoner of the Latrell moment.
No, that's all right. No.
It's not the worst take. It's not the worst take.
There's no A and B there.
Yeah.
How would Munster and Latrell go together? Jeez, that'd be fun to watch.
That left edge would be crazy. Right? Just get a good back row and a winger that can catch, and a centre that can make tackles.
I'd give AJ 500 the best to just come and fucking finish off pieces of meat for him.
Yeah.
AJ would break.
Brimson? Talking?
No, Alex Johnston.
Oh,
Alex
yeah,
Johnston.
100%.
You just need.
No, bring him up too.
I don't like
Bring him up.
paying wingers big money, but if you get Alex Johnston, because all you need to do is finish the try within 20 metres.
He's so underrated.
Bruh, he
that
is
kid
unbelievable.
He's ridiculous. I reckon he's the only one. He's got a fair chance of beating this record.
Yeah, he's talk of Ruben Garrick heading up that way as well. So if there's a nice little finisher up there, potentially
He'd
as
be
a
all right on
fullback.
the
Ruben
wing.
Garrick goes good.
He goes all right. He's impressed me in the last couple of years.
I think he's chasing a fullback.
No.
contract.
No,
So,
no,
yeah.
no. Gaz is a
just a winger.
If I had Gaz on my wing and then I didn't have a solid backup at fullback and I could use him, I'd be stoked.
Yeah.
I'd be stoked to have Gaz. But
Well, they've got that
you
other
can't
kid.
and we love Gaz. You can't have him being your.
Asako's prime
Asako's
fullback.
up there.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure. He's not.
See, this
he's
is
not
why.
tested.
This is why if I was Munster, I'd take my time.
Yes.
I'd want one more domino to fall. So if he was able to, Latrell comes out and says, I'm not number 2. If Wayne gets Latrell number 1 and Munster can go, he doesn't give fucking rats if he's number 2, go, yeah, I'll go there now if Latrell goes there.
I think
Fuck, that'd
it's
be-
going to be good. I mean, whatever Wayne. Even Ben Hunt. They lowballed Ben Hunt. Like Ben Hunt hit the off market at the right time.
Let's roll straight
Got
into Ben
about
Hunt's next
1.2.
one anyway,
Oh,
mate. So get into it.
We'll roll into it. We may as well start with you, Maz, because you touched on it. But Ben Hunt has apparently been lowballed with the $700K offer due to his relationship with Hook. So the question has sort of become, where do the Dragons need to get to? What number would you be paying for a 32-year-old Ben Hunt? Or does he start having a look elsewhere? And would there be a Redcliffe that'll give him more money?
100%. He's got to look elsewhere. St George aren't going anywhere. They'll be bottom 4 next year. He's got to understand he wants to get back up the top. He's been getting picked in Origin because they know he's an Origin player, and he'll probably make the Kangaroo Tour because he's just that sort of player. He can play 9-7. He's got great leadership. And I think they've really lowballed him. I mean, I know he was on 1.2, but who cares? He doesn't deserve 700 when you've got to look at a guy like Reynolds who got $1 million, and you've got to look at Townsend who got 758.
I think you got 8.
8. Well, there you go. So I
close,
think
yeah.
I think Hunt, if he's fair income, I think he's 31, 32 years old. He's looking for that 3-year deal, nearly $1 million a year.
He'd be
He's
33 though when he went
Yeah.
to wherever he'd be, or maybe even
Well, I
34.
think he should look at Redcliffe. He
He'll
should
be-
honestly look
he'll
at Redcliffe.
be
He'd be silly
33
if he
in
doesn't
March.
look at Redcliffe. He's got a great relationship with Wayne. He's from Queensland. You know what Queenslanders are like. They love it up there. Go back to Redcliffe. He's a king again. You know what I mean? Like, I think that'd be a smart move for him. Don't lowball him and disrespect him. Like, he's been your best player since he's been down there. You give him no help and you expect him to sit there on 700. He's going straight back up to Redcliffe.
He's about to win the Dally M.
He's nearly going to win the Dally M, so
Yeah, he
he's going to
will.
go like that.
He'll win it.
And they'll give him one.
That's a lock.
I reckon he'll get 1.1 or something like that from Redcliffe. Especially if they can't get Munster or anything like that, which looks like they're not going to get.
Yeah.
I'll be chasing Ben Hunt for his leadership skills and the player that he is.
Surely Redcliffe can get 2 of these guys, eh? Can they
Well,
offer $1 million to 2 players?
Yep. and
They
they've
should
al-
be.
They've also, they
Yeah,
can.
because all the rest are like they're on crumbs.
Yeah.
And they've
They
also
lot of
haven't
vets.
played anyone.
already signed Anthony Milford. So if you were to get Ben Hunt, he gets that 2015
Well,
connection
exactly.
again. So there's,
Yeah.
And
that
that's
makes
what
sense.
Milford has missed.
there's parallels, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think it'd be silly if Ben Hunt didn't go to Redcliffe. Start a new franchise, be the face of the franchise. You're a Queenslander, you're very beloved up there. They love you. So, you can play against the Broncos or
He's Hook's-
rivalry and
Yeah,
all
he
that
is
sort of
Hook's,
shit.
Hook's guy, but
But
there's
Hook's not a lock, bro.
Yeah, there's rumors that he's going to be moved on.
Yeah, so if I was Benny Hunt, and if you're Benny Hunt's a smart operator, we had a bit to do with him. We live close to him. He used to pick up Normie for training all the time. He's been around long enough. He knows that nothing's fucking locked in with Hook. So if Dragons are offering him $700K because of his relationship with Hook, he's too smart to go, oh yeah, I'll stay for $750.
Who are they giving money to?
And then their forwards on massive money, bro. I think
Who?
They fucked their cap with
Yeah.
guys
Who?
like DeBellon's on big money.
DeBellon was on big
Tyson
money
Frizzell's
before he
still on big
signed.
money.
Did they have to pay it? Will they be paying out Tarek?
They'll probably be paying out Tarek. I'll have a look. But they've got a lot of money tied up in their forward pack. That was the narrative that was being
Yeah.
spun.
They've got
over
no
the
one
last
in
few
their
days.
forwards.
Wow. Yeah.
knowing
Jaden Sewell might be on fucking pretty decent money. And I love seeing the boys get money.
Because he played. I love this is not our fault. It's the club's fault that they've stuffed their cap up. You know what I mean? It's just bad handling, and St George are known for that. You know, so I think Benny Hunt, just get out of there, mate.
You mentioned it right at the start, mate. If they're taking into consideration that, you know, for a period there, Benny Hunt was on really good money, and he probably 2 years ago, it could be due to our mate Mudders as well playing outside of him.
They're still playing,
that they weren't living up to that hype of being two $1 million halves. You can't take that in consideration. His last 2 years in particular,
he's been the man.
He's been the man, and he's been the man at the top level, and he'll probably be the starting 9 for the Kangaroos over probably Harry Grant, Uppy Carousel, and Damien Cook.
Uppy's already, I believe, this may not be official, but it's rumoured that he's already said he wants to play for Fiji.
Awesome. That'll be mad.
So,
Kicker will be there.
Do you reckon you'll get the kick over Harry?
I think you will.
What about Cook? Do you reckon Cook?
You'll take 3 hookers to the World Cup, wouldn't you? Those will be the 3.
Well, I think Ben Hunt's a slashy. He's a 9 and a 7, so you probably take him as just like he might be the 14.
Benny Hunt gives you flexibility.
Yeah, I'll put him at 14.
And even Harry can play lock.
Yeah, one of them can. Yeah, exactly. So one of them can play. One of them start, and one of them's come off the bench. I'm not sure what that means for Cook. Is he out of the loop now or what?
Don't know. Cookie might be third if Uppy because Uppy keeps playing better every game. His performance, which we'll get to shortly on the preview and review, was unbelievable on the weekend coming off the bench. Bit of a masterstroke by Ivan.
What about that other kid? The double first name, Mitch Kenny.
He
was flogging everyone.
Mate, he's fucking so aggressive.
Everyone.
Yeah. That's the reason. He's the reason that they've been able to let go of
I didn't know
Uppy.
that he could hit that hard.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Man, massive raps on him because he usually comes off the bench and gets hardly any time, doesn't really make an impact, just does a lot of tackles around the ruck. But he started that game with some intent. He led that line speed, and that's what you got your hooker to do. Like he does what Appy does. But I don't think he's not as crafty as Appy, but I was very impressed with him. I can see why they're not that shattered letting Appy go.
I've got some interesting comments from Ivan in the press conference after, which will sum up a little bit with Uppy, and it could play in the factor with the breakdown. One last thing on Ben Hunt before we move on. If I was, and I've been saying this for a while now, I love Ben Hunt. He hates playing there at 9. He probably doesn't want to play there at club level. I love the potential of Jaden Sullivan and Talatau Amone. That has to be, they have to build around that young nucleus. Unfortunately, a guy that I love, Andrew McCulloch, played his 300th game. It's interesting to see what he does or what he stays around for potentially. But if Benny Hunt was to play 9.
Does Redcliffe have a 9?
Yeah, Jerry Marshall-King.
He's had a great, he's probably been our best this
year. He has, yeah. So if I was Dragons, I'd love Benny Hunt to stay on. And if I was Benny Hunt, I'm not signing for anything less than 900.
You offered me 700.
I'm not signing for anything less than 900. If I'm
He'll
Benny
get
Hunt.
a millet. He'll get a millet, Redcliffe. Go get paid and retire.
Yeah.
That's it. He's done everything in the game. I mean, he got 2015 grand final. He's still killing him.
He could be the Scotty Prince version of what the Titans had.
Yeah, 100%. He's got some.
Early on.
As I said,
it's a good shout.
The blueprint is there because of Reynolds and Townsend. So every team's going. You know how hard it is to come across a good half. Fucking trust me, I know. You know how hard it is? It is. Look at other clubs. There's probably 6 premier halves and all the rest, you could easily be in reserve grade.
That's why I've been talking about Fozzie for the last 10 years.
That's why
because they're rare.
Well, have a look.
You don't get ones like Fozzie and Chaz every day.
The other way, I bet Dave Fafita scores 15 tries next year.
Yeah.
Because he's going to have Fozzie digging into the line and not petrified of the whole thing.
Yeah.
They're the most protective people on the field. You don't get hit late. There's a penalty. You can't tackle them while they're kicking. Which I love all these rules because I think that's fair. So why aren't you digging into the line? Guys like Ben Hunt, guys like Cleary, who else? Jerome Hughes.
Yep.
Like Moses to a certain extent sometimes. They're all they dig into the line.
Dylan Brown.
You know, like Dylan Brown, they try and negate, they try and get into the C defender. You know, like some of these guys passing dummy pass. You know, you're 3-4 metres from the line, the guard check release. All these forwards are so big and athletic. If you don't dig into them and just do something, they're just going to check release and you have no more space out there.
This is why we're talking about 30-year-old halves that are still going to warrant $1 million because
he's one of them.
There's not a shitload of quality around.
If I'm the Dragons, I'd be doing everything I can to get to $1 million. So just to sort of back up your point there, Mace, a lot of money tied up in their forward pack. These guys were all signed kind of at the peak of their powers, so they're still paying Paul Vaughan. He was on 800.
No,
Tarek was on,
he wouldn't be. They wouldn't be paying him.
well, the pay apparently he
He got fuck all payout. So I
Fuck all
spoke to
payout?
him. Yeah. So
okay. Scratch Vaughan, Tarek, Sewer, Woods, DeBellin, McCulloch, and Jack Bird. Apparently, where a lot of their cap is tied up, and those deals are pushed through quite late. So
Yeah.
who knows? Hopefully they can come closer. But I'm with you. Fuck off to Redcliffe.
go to Redcliffe. Yeah.
All right, Scope. Let's finish off here. Best of 5 before we rip into the NRLW preview.
Yeah.
A lot of being made of kind of around the top 8 in general, and just off the back of the cricket scores that we saw over the weekend. So the question gets posed to you, Skip. Best top 8 you've seen in a minute?
For me, it is Mace.
Fuck. Who
The
said
quality.
that?
When was the last top 8 that you can remember that I genuinely think teams 5 to 8? I know people were talking up the Raiders. For me, they're not quite there. I would prefer Raiders don't make it, and I'll talk about that in a preview when I talk about the Knights game. But the top 8 as it stands, I'd be very scared. I think it's a product of also Sharkies and Cowboys not being great teams last year and not proven.
Yeah.
Haven't been proven in a number of years. So there's a little bit of uncertainty around the top 4, which then opens it up for teams. If they lose that first week of finals, you're potentially playing a Rabbitohs, a Parramatta Eels. You're probably going to play a Roosters.
Yeah, I look at it like I think someone said on 360 the other night. It's the best, and I'm like, because I can't look past how fucking dominant Penrith are. I'm like, I get it from 2 to 8. Yeah, that's very competitive, but I'm like, it's light years away from Penrith. I just
Distant second still?
Yeah, it's a real distant second. I'm not sure, like, because what they do, I mean, I know they got beat by Melbourne 16-0, then they come out against South. South were red hot at that time, and they do that to South.
That was impressive 16-0 against Melbourne
yeah,
too.
I know.
That made me like Penrith even more.
Yeah, and I was just like, wow, they're actually doing this. And I'm like, this is no Cleary, no Luai, no Fisher Harris. Arguably top 3 top 3 in their positions in the world.
Yep.
And you're doing it without those guys there. You know, and I'm just like, who can beat these guys on their day? Because they know how to rise to the occasion. They'll get up for every single game. They'll get up for this. They'll blow that first guy out. First 1 and 8 could be a cricket score. If it's Canberra or if it's Brisbane or if it's the
No, it's 1 versus 4 now. So they'll play
That's right.
Storm.
Sorry, yeah, Storm.
Penrith can play Storm. Does that change your mind a little bit?
Little
so
bit.
if they go,
Only
if
'cause
they
Storm's been
take
going
on,
so good.
just say Storm go back to back and keep this trend going because they're trending in the right way.
If you asked me,
Munster's playing
if you asked me
fullback.
3 weeks ago, sorry, buddy. If you asked me 3 weeks ago, I would have said it's Penrith and then I don't give a shit who else.
the
They're going to
same.
get pumped. Now, they've come back to a little bit and everyone's like, well, wait till Luai and Cleary and they come back. Yeah, I get it. And Fisher Harris, you know.
Bit rusty?
Little bit rusty, yeah. You're not going to have that continuity. It's not going to be as sharp on that left edge. And I know Fisher Harris is a forward. He's one of the best forwards in the game, but he's still a forward. You know what I mean? Like if you play against, you think Big Nelson's going to be scared of him? Jesse? You know, like Matt Lodge going to be backward steps? Hargraves backward step against any of these forward packs? They just work like a machine. All those guys out there, they kick chase hard. They do everything the best. All these little things that the shit clubs don't do good. They do everything good. Cleary, they've probably been missing him putting that thing on a dime with these cage kicks, all going down there and then bashing that winger and bashing that fullback and then just winning that yardage game. They haven't really been doing that, have they? Because Sullivan and Salmon and all these guys, they haven't got a kicking game like Cleary.
Yeah, he's got the shin kick, SOS.
Yeah.
Off the knee.
He is. That's what he does.
He kicked a rare 40-20 on the weekend, and I'm telling you, and you know, we love taking the piss out of SOS a little bit. Jacko's a big fan from his wire days, but he legit kicked a 40-20, and that was maximum distance.
Yeah.
He's pulled the driver out.
He's a golfer, yeah, exactly.
He pulled the driver out. That's a pitching wedge for Nathan Cleary.
I don't know all these freaking analogies for golf, but I know exactly. It's like it could be like a par 3, and he's got the iron out. He's got the
Shout out to Drum and Golf.
The fucking whatever it is.
Shout out to Drum and Golf, Taryn Point.
I saw that as well. I was like, oh yeah. So that's what I say. I just think I think the best thing that's happened to Cleary is he gets suspended for 5 weeks. Dude's played, had deep runs into the semi-finals and grand finals. Origin for 4 years. You want 5 weeks after Origin? Yes, please. You know, but I mean,
that's what I thought originally. I thought this is perfect timing. Drame gets rested, and then just because all these teams are starting to hit form due to Penrith's just plateauing a little bit, they're not declining by any. Beating South. I wrote this down during the game, Mason. I don't know if you are. I reckon you agree with this. Souths to me, in Latrell in particular and Cody, when I was watching that game, I feel like they need Nathan Jerome and Fisher Harris to play for them to play their best.
Yeah,
For me, they were looking going.
Looking at Sullivan and Salmon going, get off the field.
You know what I mean? Like they always had points.
I would have
in
been
them.
looking at get off. You don't even belong out here.
That'd be teriyaki.
Yeah, I sort of went, get away. Like, and I think that.
Do you think that too?
They always rise to the occasion. They want to beat the best version of Penrith.
I think you'll see a better version of South against a full strength Penrith.
100. I agree. I look at that as well because I know Latrell, I know Cody, all these blokes. They're big game players. They want that. They want it. They want to beat the best players. They want it. They want Cleary in there. They want Luai in there. They want Edwards. They want Fisher Harris. They want everyone.
And those boys are the same. And I think that's what's sort of hampered Penrith in the last couple of years. They've played South without Latrell, and they've probably gone into that game going, Latrell's not there. We'll get the job done.
The grand final. Yeah. Everyone they would have won. It's like, well, I don't. Maybe not. Maybe not.
I hope we get to see those two teams full strength in a final.
I was going for. I thought South was a. And they cost. I had a multi on last week. You don't see me writing death threats.
Yeah, I had South. I had South.
Yeah, I had South
for the take on my potty, and I was just like, it was like a seven legger.
Yeah.
I got a bloke.
Yeah, you're not a big gambler.
No. But it was right. If South had it, because this old mate put a massive amount on it.
He loaded up on it.
And he loaded up, and I'm like, mine's to raise money for kids and that, like kids clubs.
Yeah.
So it's only $50, and I still would have won like $900.
Yeah. That's
so
right.
imagine you put 10 grand on that shit.
Yeah.
Ooh, death threats coming.
Para are the same scope in terms of like teams that they want to verse the best. Like Para
100%.
play their best footy when they're versing
Para
loaded
scares
side.
me, man. Para scares me and I think they would scare Penrith. Because they've beaten them twice and they've beaten Melbourne down there. So there's no real fear factor. And you look at Parramatta and you go, yeah, very inconsistent. They do turn up against the big teams. It's like they've been waiting the whole year to go, fuck it, I just want to get back to that prelim. Like they think they got robbed against Penrith.
I have a feeling the switch is going to turn on soon with Para. I just got this weird feeling.
I just did a thing with the Tab. I just took over Laurie Daly's job at the Tab. No, I didn't. So I did a Daily Mail, I think it's called. And they said, what's your prediction for a grand final? I said, Para and Penrith. Fuck. I said Para and Penrith. And I said, you know why? Because I want to see Parramatta get beat in the grand final. And all their fans would be fucking bawling their eyes out for another 30 years. Because it's their last chance. You're losing money. Papali'i might be going the Tigers. There's a big nucleus of that side. I don't know. I just don't think they'll be as dominant. Because I think they have the side right now. Come on. You reckon they got the side?
Parramatta?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do have the side. They just haven't got the runs on the board.
I know, but
because they haven't done it.
Do you think their mentality is like, you know what, fuck it, we'll just get out. We'll just somehow we'll get in the 8 and we'll just make a run.
As long as they don't come up against South, they just can't beat South.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how some teams
they can't beat South. No, they can't.
Fights dictate.
No, they can't beat South.
Matchups dictate fights.
Yeah.
Is that the same?
Styles
make fights. Sorry. There are some teams, for instance, like Penrith don't want to see Para. Para don't want to see South.
Does anyone want to see Melbourne?
Melbourne don't give a fuck.
I don't think Melbourne cares.
Melbourne have struggled against Para in the last couple of years as well. They probably don't want to see Para.
I reckon these top teams that we're talking about, they don't want to see Para in that prelim.
This is why this top 8 for me, mate, is so
I'm
fucking
coming back
good.
around. I think some stupid journo said it, and I just didn't believe him because I just don't care.
Because you know why? We
You know
haven't.
what I mean? It was just like, how the fuck would you know?
There'll be so many Sharks and Cowboys fans sitting there going, why the fuck are you not talking about us? Yeah. We're second and third.
I don't know. I reckon they're going to make their run next year and the year after. They're going to build their little bit of a juggernaut. But this year, it's going to be it's going to come out of the top 4.
We're disrespecting
maybe Parramatta.
That number 2 spot for me is fucking prime real estate.
That's where you want to be.
If you can finish
Cowboys
number 2,
locked that, haven't they?
No, they're on equal points with Cronulla right now. Shit. But I think they've got better for and against, or they're 2 points in front. And the Cowboys play Rabbitohs and Penrith the last 2 games, and the Sharks have got a soft run, so they play the Bulldogs respectfully, Mace, and then next week, and then they've got I think they've got a soft one to finish off as well. So
right.
Sharks will win both their last 2.
Off topic, who's the coach of the year?
Todd Payton.
Fitzy or Toddy?
Oh
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah,
Toddy's been there for another year. I'll just mention. I just thought of it then. I was
Todd Payton for me.
I think so because of the fact that everyone thought that they're going to come bottom 4 easy. Now he's got them in top 4.
Yep.
Fitzy, what he's done with
I gave them a bit of hope because of Fitzy and the signings of Finucane and Hines and McInnes. Yeah. They were really good buys. I talked about.
Yeah, I think everyone had the Sharks
it'd be close.
in their 8.
It'd be close.
Everyone
I had them sneaking
8.
in.
Everyone had the Cowboys bottom 2 or bottom 4. And
actually, I had the Sharks
second.
just missing. I think
I had them 4th.
Yeah, you did too. You said that a number
Yeah.
of times.
What?
The Sharks.
He brings that
That's the
receipt up
only
every.
thing he's got.
That's his only
Only
receipt.
Yeah, no, I got the Sharks finished with the Dogs and then Newcastle. So
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a
Well, they
dub.
should be, yeah.
Ooh, Old
But
Boys
who
Day.
knows, man? Old Boys Day.
Is it Old Boys Day?
Yeah.
Is it at
I'll be
Newcastle?
going up the Old Boys Day.
Ooh.
And that's all. They always usually get the money
They pump
on
up for
that
it,
day,
don't they?
yeah. Because all the old, it's great.
going
It's
up for
great
that?
when Newcastle do, yeah. They get all the former players and they. It's a
They
big-
started
it's a big
Old Boys
piss- yeah,
Day.
It's a big piss
Yeah.
up the night before, and then you turn up to the game, dusty as hell. It's bullshit, and it's I think it's a 3:00 game on a Sunday against Cronulla,
Yuck.
and they everyone around. They just get clapped around the whole field and all that kind of stuff, and everyone sits together and then have beers. It's great what they do. I think a lot of clubs should be implementing that because the clubs. I always tell the Dogs that they need to do something like that.
Yeah, true. Dogs don't do it, eh?
And this club's been around since 1935. Knight's been here since '88, and they've been doing that. So I think a lot of clubs, because when you retire, the only thing you don't. A lot of players still hang on to that rugby league career and just hanging out with your mates.
It's
And
good to
that's
catch
probably
up.
the only
I did
time-
the
it's
Manly
good-
one
it's
this
good
year. It was good to
up.
catch up with the boys. Yeah,
You get
I
to see,
enjoyed it.
especially if you've been to grand finals and you've won, or you've been in successful teams, or you just got a really good friend, like a heap of good friends there, like we do at the Dogs. Like you should do that. I think it's not hard to organise.
100%.
hey, shush. All right, but all right, Skip, you ready for your NRLW
All right,
week?
this is
two?
where the Skip does his best work, mates. Kick the feet up here. NRLW Week 2 preview as Mello starts barking his head off, misses his boss and owner Ice. Let's kick it off with the first game. The Roosters played the Eels straight off the bat. The champs will be hard to beat this year, I wrote down. Kelly and Surgis, the New South Wales Australian centres on either side of the field, it's really hard for Parramatta because you can just get hit on either side. And Sam Bremer come back after she stepped in for Corbin Baxter, who was on with us last week, Jacko. She's
a
fucking
machine,
unreal.
Corbs.
She was, yeah. So Sam Brenner filled in for her though, Mace, and she's had a couple of bubs over the last couple of years, missed it through pregnancy. Has not missed a step. She's still one of the class players in the NRLW. The Eels, on the other hand, I was pretty high on them leading into it with a couple of new recruits. I thought Gail Broughton looked good from the New Zealand Sevens player that's come over and playing for Parramatta.
She'll get better. She's very
You can
athletic,
tell, but yeah, both her and Brookie Walker, it's a little bit difficult. More numbers out on the field. They look like you could see in the limited touches that she had some really nice touches, but 13 aside, just a little bit different. So they've been able to pick and choose their spots. One of the when I was watching the game on the weekend, Jacko and Lukey's here as well. I think Lukey asked me about it last week. Maddie Studden doesn't have a team, so she doesn't have a club. She wasn't signed by anyone. But Cronulla,
They're
for
in
this
next
year. Yeah, for this year. So she doesn't have a team for this year in the NRLW. I thought they could have really used her. I don't know what sort of happened there at Parramatta. Hopefully it hasn't ended badly, but I was watching it going, geez, they could use Maddie Studden here just to shore things up a little bit. Moving on to the Dragons versus the Titans. Emma Tonegado, best player in the league. She showed why
She'd drive you.
she's a weapon.
Yeah, she's
Emma
fucking hit, eh?
Like the way, honestly, mate.
I just use a bit of late footwork.
No exaggeration. Emma Tonegado finishes off 3-on-2, and this is respectfully to the
got
girls
good
because
skills, man.
she finishes off a 3-on-2 better than half of the NRL fullbacks in the competition. She threw a nice little one over to Andy Robinson for a try after scoring the first one, which was jam too, by the way. Skip had a piece of that. Skip's NRLW is where you can find some jam. Anyway, Tonegado killed it. Yeah, big time.
You're the best.
Yeah,
You are.
I love it.
Find it. You
I
can
love
find
it. I'll find jam
crease,
anywhere I can.
Oh.
She was just, mate, she's just, even a couple she put over Paige McGregor a little bit later on where she potentially could have crossed by herself. She's that good. She breaks the line and she's sort of just drawing past, but she could cross if she wanted for another one. Kezzy Apps was unreal because Elsie Albert was a late scratch for them in the front row. So Kezzy led from the front. The skipper, she jumped in the front. She's got nice footwork and we all know about her. Rachel Pearson's kicking game was the difference though, I thought, against the Titans. Jacko, your Titans...
Yeah.
They did a really good job of shutting down the Stars. Sowie's doing a good job there with the girls. He's implementing some really NRL-based things, like some mindsets. I like the style of footy that the girls play, but if you put a little bit of that NRL knowledge into it too. So basically, Mace, what they were doing is the couple of the big names for the Titans. One's Eviana Politi. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it. I always get her name wrong. She's their star centre. She played fullback for them last year. She still put up big numbers, but anytime she got within good ball, Dragons were just flocking to her and they completely shut her down. Yeah, you could see every time she got her hands on the ball, they were shutting her down. Brayley Nati had a few little uncharacteristic errors for the skipper. Your girl, She's escaping me. Hale,
Puppy.
Georgia Hale.
Georgia Hale, yeah.
Georgia Hale.
She got us.
She has a crack though, man. I love watching her play.
She's a proper G. Man,
Titans got a bit of early season rust, I wrote down.
Yeah.
But because you don't get long to get it together. It's only a 4-week comp. You go into the finals. So you need to get it together straight away. Hopefully they can.
They've blown out to 14, so I'll be having a little lick.
That's the right value from Jack.
NRLW need to hire you.
Yeah.
Everything.
Oh, this is my bread and butter, mate. Because when there's jam to be had, the skips around. All right, leading on to the last game, and I'll save Newcastle for last because they were unreal. The Broncos girls. Shout out to Julia Robinson. She had a tough week last week.
The girl I wrote to I DM the young girl.
Oh, awesome.
Who she got like some
same thing.
Just saying that she was
calling her a man and shit like that.
I said, look, I see my phone somewhere. I more or less said, oh look, just be tough, like I said, rise above it. And I said, there's just some real pathetic people out there, blah, blah, blah. I said, look, you're just blessed with good genetics. I said, we're not playing fucking lawn bowls. It's rugby league.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be built like that. That's how it is. I said, he's probably a jealous little piece of shit.
Fucking
I said, don't let that get to your head. Just keep concentrating on being a rugby league player. I said, obviously you're built for the game. I said, just keep ripping in. I said, block the fucking noise out.
Well, she did that, Mace. Yeah. She scored 2 of the best. She opened her account with a fucking blockbusting run down the edge. Little Ellie Brigginshaw cut out to Robinson. There was still a bit to do. Nice little finish. But one of her best plays, they put a kick over to her, and it wasn't even a try. She caught it above her head. So shout out to Julia Robinson who killed it.
Hannah Southwell, poor thing, done an ACL.
Oh, is it confirmed?
Yeah, she done her ACL.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
poor thing, yeah. So I was doing some work out. She used to train with Roger Fabio and doing some sprint training. She can play. So she said it was just a proper ACL coming off her right. Foot stays, knee moves. That was it.
Yeah, that sucks. It looked like she was. She tried to keep playing with that too, by the way, for a couple of minutes. I thought, obviously, again, Jam, Tonegado, Taran Aiken. That's where
you cleaned up on the weekend with the women's.
On the women's, but I lost all my money on the men's. The men's are fucking unreliable.
No, you can't.
The girls, I know what I'm going to get from the girls. So this is why I love the NRLW. All right.
Oz.
So Brigginshaw and Aiken, they're at their scheming best. I thought Taran Aiken in particular, second half, she started crossing her over to the other side of the field. She's the left side player. She scored a try on the left.
Very Joey Manu like the way she
bang, she just dropped Amber Hall under a couple of times, and it led to Amber Hall getting into the game. And I thought that really opened up for her. So maybe that's something that they'll look at doing a little bit more this year. But Newcastle, let's get to it. Hannah Southwell, I didn't know whether she'd done her ACL yet, but because their middle was looking like a problem. Caitlin Johnson and Millie Boyle with Hannah Southwell, they were so physical and started the game so well. They had a really nice rotation. So that'll really hurt Newcastle. I didn't know about that news, Mace. But if there's something good to come out of it and being a Southwell, Jessie Southwell is going to be a gun.
The sister? Yeah.
She's going to be a fucking gun.
I know.
So she's 17 years old. She got an exemption to play. She got the Joseph Suolai exemption to play in the NRLW. Just coming over from the nines, the sevens or the nines in the Commonwealth Games.
Wow.
Fuck, she is so good, man. Like,
you know what I like that they're doing, the NRLW?
She's a bit like Joey. Like, I know it's like the women's version.
Yeah, of course.
But like low center of gravity. Mate, who'd they play? So they played the Broncos. I think it was it's escaping you. It wasn't Amber Hall. It was Talisha Harden. So one of the more seasoned veterans in the Broncos team.
Talisha.
She ran straight into Southwell. I think it was Talisha. Southwell picked her up, bang, straight on her back.
Like Jake Trbojevic.
She hits like Hannah. So Hannah, her big sister, that's what she's known for. Jessie fucking diced them up through the middle, scored a try firstly. With a team full of so many stars out on that field, you look at they had Aiken and Brigginshaw for Broncos. Kira Dibb played 6 for New South Wales this year. And Jessie Southwell, she was the star of the game. And for me, outside of Emma Tonegado, she was the player of the round.
I like what they do in the NRLW. They're sharing the talent around. They know that you can't just stack the Broncos. You can't just stack all these teams. So they bring in all these, some of the players to Newcastle, Millie Boyle and all that, to Newcastle, a couple of other players that have played Queensland or New South Wales. So I think it's good. It's really even in the compo.
Yeah,
I think it's probably, three. Tamika Upton
and Millie Boyle went to Newcastle.
Did some work with her Deadly Choices, so she's a great girl. She can play, man.
She's gun.
She can play.
She's gun. She was unreal. She didn't even have to be
a really nice girl, man.
She didn't even have to be like proper grouse in this one. She just found a way and did the right things. She's got silky
skills, man. She's got real silky skills. But it's good what they're doing there. So I think maybe 3 years, I reckon they might have 10 teams.
Yeah,
in
I
3
hope
years.
so.
I think that should be the goal for the NRLW.
Are they shooting
or the
to
NRL.
10 straight away next year, or is it 8?
8 next
8.
year, and then
Just build by twos. Don't go too crazy.
Yeah.
Because you got to build. I mean, obviously, there's that 15-year-old girl who's playing now. In about 2-3 years, then they'll be ready for the NRLW. They've got to do their apprenticeship, got to learn the skills and all this, everything that comes with it. Can't just go straight into the pros. So just think about the future of the game, because all these young little girls, they're all playing now. Like 15, 16-year-old girls. So if they bring another team in another 2 years or something like that, and they're going to be ready to play.
Yeah.
So you can't really just and because it'll dilute the, how good it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're all starting to grow into it now, Mace. There's the junior competitions that are getting stronger. The under-19s game was good this year.
Everything's getting stronger and stronger. So don't just rush into it.
There's squad members.
It'll dilute the product. That's what I'm saying. You want a good product. Because it's getting played on TV every single game now. So you want a good product. So it's eyes on TV all the time. Who cares? It's like the NRL. No one cares about going to games. We just want to watch the thing at home, pretty much. So people want to watch the game. So make sure it's a good product.
Chelsea Lenarduzzi said that on the NRL roast. I think she did the potty with the NRL roast at the start of the year, and she said the same thing. Slowly grow it. The money's getting a little bit better for the girls. So some of these girls who might have been staying at the Broncos, for instance, Mace, Tamika Uptons and Millie Boyles, they get sort of marquee money to go elsewhere and make some good money for them. There's going to be more money into the game. So shout out to the girls. I was big on the competition at the start of the year. I'm even bigger after the first round. It's going to be a good season. Broncos. See, Newcastle comes back with Hannah Southwell out. They come back to the pack. Yeah. Again, it looks like Dragons and the Roosters will be the team to beat this year.
Yep. And just on that building slowly, even Corbin mentioned it last week. Like, I was pissed off that the Warriors didn't get in.
There needs to be a team. There needs to be a team over
Corbin
there.
said they're going to. The NRL want to, but they weren't quite ready. So the NRL said, cool,
good.
Let us bring these two sides
and there's
in.
A lot of, because, the Bulldogs have a girls' team.
Yeah.
Cronulla don't. So, but they're not ready to
Harvey
go
Norman.
into the...
Harvey
and
Norman,
I think that's fair. That's fair play.
And when they're ready to
take
come,
their time, they need to get the infrastructure around properly. Don't rush into it and get it done properly.
Yeah. All right, Skip, let's roll on to the NRL round 24.
Let's get into it.
Thursday night footy. Let's start with the Broncos taking on the Parramatta Eels. Para are the favourites here. The line is -3.5. The over or under. I assume all the over-unders are going to be big this week off the back last week, but you got 48.5 for this one.
It's forecast to rain too, so it's interesting up in Broncos. Might be a little bit different up at Suncorp. One thing I've noticed straight away, Mason, I'll just talk about this point quickly. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about the potential loss and effects that Carrigan, Cleary and Moses at the time were going to have when they all were either injured or suspended in the same week. And I said Carrigan, for me, is going to be the biggest loss because where the Broncos were currently, they were sitting fourth at the time. And I thought Carrigan was therefore going to push the Broncos down. So that's my receipt of the episode, mate.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed now when I was watching the Broncos, and it is, we've talked about it a few times, the ball playing locks are well and truly an extension of the spine now, but they've not only become an extension of the spine, they're so important. So when I look at the Broncos now, they've got, who's the guy that comes off the bench from who's been playing for Carrigan recently? Hetherington. Yep. He does a fair job of it, but he's not Carrigan. And Carrigan was just starting to figure it out. In the Origin, Mace, when Yao went down in the first half, it fucked him in Origin 1, right? Yep. Because now these ball playing halves, and you look at the form that Radley's in, and now that he's got Lodge and that around him, and he's the guy. He's basically dictating play. So they'll pretty much go bang, bang with an outside back or a scoot, and then they sort of just roll through with Radley.
He touches the ball 3 times in a set.
And that traditional shape of the Bulldogs back in the day with Des and James Graham, Mace, that's gone. So you can't just now run.
No.
You can't just run. It's too easy to defend. So you can't do the traditional. James Graham runs the line. He's got big Sam Cassiano pushing there, and they flick it out the back. And then there's because of that, there's an overlap on the outside. And now you've got to drop him. Now you've got to get a middle to run a lead for you. Because if you look at Cam Murray again, because it got me thinking of all the teams, all the best teams, Cam Murray, Victor Radley, Jakey when he's on fire and he's doing his best work at Manly. But Cam Murray's another example, right? So at the start of the year, they were a bit clunky, the Rabbitohs. And it wasn't until Cam Murray sort of took control of that middle part of the field with Lockie Elias and it got a nice little combination. But more often than not, someone will run a lead line or he might just get early ball and then he sort of just like kicks out and flicks it out the back now. So that middle forward is becoming crucial in the NRL. And if you've got a good one, you're a chance of fucking...
I'll double down on it for you because if you go back to James Graham and Cassiano and how that got shut down, Because James and Cassiano started so close to the ruck, you can get them from marker and at A. So your line speed at A is just picked up ridiculously so you have to catch it at C as a ball playing lock right now. If you're paying halves away, you catch wherever the fuck you want. You're just going to do it. But as a ball playing lock, you're catching at C and you're skipping over the 4 men straight away. He either comes under and you've got that lead runner. So that's what's happening all the time. The drop's the one that holds the 3 man up so they can't get you. So you've got to hold these middle guys honest. Otherwise, they'll check and release and go straight out to you. So that's what's happening in the game now. But it takes a while. It takes a little bit to... That's why some of the teams like who haven't got a traditional lock, who do have a traditional lock, aren't really getting out of yardage. They don't really have much play.
Look at all the lower ranked teams. None of them have
they don't have a good lock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They've got a working lock.
Jackson Hastings went to lock for a little bit there for a couple of weeks, and it unlocked them for a couple of weeks.
Because you got to get wider from the ruck. You got to catch. You got to cut out A, B, C. You got to pretty much catch at C and get at the 4 men straight away. So you can either dig in yourself or a little tip onto the lead guy, and even have, just say if I'm Carrigan, which he was doing really good, he'd have Payne Haas outside him. And him as a decoy or out the back, someone's coming in on Payne Haas. That 3, because you want to get the 3 man turning his shoulders in a little bit. And if you've got a good back rower who runs those good lines, and even Taumaloalo's getting it. Yep. He's getting it, a wide ball. He's at the 4 man already. And he's got a Nanai on the right side, and he's got that other Gilbert on the left side, and they're turning in. Because what else can he do? He can dig off his left and jam straight back into the middle. So Taumalolo, if they game plan the right way around Taumalolo and how they get out of yardage, they get out so easy. They'll have their Hiku and all that. They'll get by the third tackle. Taumalolo's, you've got the right post. Taumalolo's about 20 metres away from the 9. A rocket from Robson, straight in his chest. He can pick 3 things what he wants to do. He can come off his left, bull rush you. He can go out the back, or he can hit the front guy. And you've got to have all these skills as lock. Now,
there's nothing worse than when their first option is run. That's the most dangerous one. So if you can keep it going.
Because you're looking at Tamalo going, I want you to pass. I want you to pass. So you have to come square at A, B, and C, because his left foot is that dynamite. He can go straight at you and catch you slipping on your heels. So even guys like Victor Radley in that duel, Cam Murray does it good because he's got great late footwork. He finds that space. So that's probably the most important position in teams. Because and if you have an average 7, you can take pressure off him.
Yeah,
you can take pressure off the 7.
Respectfully,
have a look
Isaiah
at Victor,
Yell and
look at Victor Radley, what he does there. You know, if Sam Walker's under the pump, he'll take that first couple of hits because he can take the hits. Very important position.
Yeah. So where are you going with this one?
For sure. I just wrote down again another little take from watching the game on the weekend. The Broncos are a year away for me. So they've had a really good season. They're building something nicely there. They'll get Reece Walsh. I think will be a nice addition to him. I think that'll be a breath of fresh air for him. I think they could be. Well, they are in danger of potentially missing the 8, but I feel like they'll be a team that'll be one and done. They'll get Carrigan back for the finals. It'll be a massive in, but it might be too late.
Colbo's being rested this week.
Interesting.
What?
Not concussion, it's due to fatigue. So this is just broken. So Kevy Walters is elected
He was my fucking anytime try scorer.
Was he?
I saw him blowing up. I don't give a fuck if he's not playing. I'll kill him.
So Jordan Pereira comes in. There you go. Bit of breaking news, Skip. Well, we're talking about Broncos and Para too.
Yeah, a little there. Breaking news there for the Broncos, Jacko. Before we move on, Sel and Cobbo apparently rested. But let's go on to the Eels, Mace, which is...
I should blow up because I've had him as my anytime.
Yeah, Sel and Cobbo. He's normally pretty good up at Suncorp too.
He's a gun. I love that kid. He's a freak. Love him.
But on to Parrot, Mace, I still have no idea which Parrot will turn up. I'd like to think that something's going to click. But one thing I really do like is Wonga Blake moving to the wing. Yep. I think he turns a weakness for him, which they've had for years, and it's not particularly Bailey Simonson's fault. They've had it come back all the way back to Fergie Ferg, and they've just always struggled on that right edge for some reason. But what happens is when I feel like when you got Wonga Blake and you got Will Penasini in particular,
good kid.
When you double down and you start attacking the opposition's left edge, they're more fatigued to then come at you on the right edge. So therefore, it might be you'll be able to make better decisions if you can sort of tire them out. So I think Parra will make an emphasis to sort of come down that right edge. They actually do their best work on the left edge as well. But if a lot of their yardage stuff is on the right edge, they tire out the left edge, then it can suit them well.
So who's on that left edge for the Bronx?
Corey Oates. He's been killing it.
Really good form.
They've got the young kid Dean Mariner played again on the weekend. Jordan Pereira
on the other side.
Katoni's right centre. Jordan Pereira will probably come on the right. Brenko Lee's been mixing in there a little bit on the left as well.
See, but he doesn't oppose that threat. like much of a threat. Brenko's been all right, but he's been injured a couple of times in the last couple of years. So he's not. You wouldn't mind if he got early ball. If you're that right edge for Para, you're not really going to be. You're not going to be really threatened that much. You got Wonga Blake and you got Penasini. They got pace and they're fast and they're strong and they're good defenders.
Will Penasini is a good defender.
Really good.
They get done by shape. They don't really get done.
Yeah.
They make really bad decisions and it starts all the way from the inside and then therefore the wingers look bad. But it's like, mate. Sometimes when you're in video,
their middles are working really hard now. I mean, I think Campbell Gillard's been outstanding. Junior Paulo. Once you get out of Origin, you sort of start finding your feet again. Play some real big minutes, some good offloads, some good hard hitting. Like Campbell Gillard's been doing that. Ryan Madison probably played his best game for a while, but it's against the Bulldogs. You know what I mean? You got to do that against the top 4 teams. So it'll be interesting game. I'm back in Para 113.
I like Para because at the start of the year, the Bulldogs put it on them. They come and got the Bulldogs last year. They had a real emphasis to go after the Bulldogs. The Broncos did a number on them at home at Bank West. They very rarely get a number put on them at Bank West. So I think this is I think this is a revenge game. BA called out their middles 2 weeks ago after the South game and said we weren't physical enough.
Well, 100% they weren't.
I think Para do a number on Broncos, and I'm even more confident now.
Is Carrigan back?
No, Carrigan's back first week of finals.
How long did he get?
He got 5 weeks for the hip drop.
5 weeks, yeah.
I thought he only got 3. Yeah,
5 of the best.
I'm not going to argue with that.
So I like Para.
I haven't seen a hip drop since.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
we're all going Para. All right, Friday night football. 29.5's a lot scope. The Panthers are taking on my mighty Vodafone Warriors. The over-under is 51.5 at Bluebet in Penrith scope.
It's a lot of points, but there are not. I written down there are not enough superlatives to describe Penrith at the moment, Mace. Uppy going short side was a bit of a throwback for me to the Luke Prittis grand final try in 03, Mace. Remember when he did that to Luke Rooney in a grand final?
I know,
mate. It reminded me of that. It's not as big a moment, but it's a big game for Penrith. It's a massive game to keep South potentially out of the top 4. I wrote down, as soon as the teams were named, and I seen Uppy on the bench, and I wrote down, premiership winning coaches make those moves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
As I said before, Mitch Kenny, I've never seen him start a game like that. South's forward pack has been playing pretty good. Totola's been playing well. Sele's been playing well. Like their middles. I mean, like you got
Totola's been playing
Murray.
really well.
Totola's been playing like a beast. He's been their best
forward.
Been their best forward in the last 6 weeks.
I love their pack.
But Mitch Kenny come out and he led the line speed and just put it on them. And that's why I love the teams have a plan B. Boom, 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 straight out wide because they know how compressed Panthers are. Cody Walker, early ball, boom, boom. They start making 30, 40 metre breaks down those sidelines and then it spreads the whole field out. So there's a way that you can get out of yardage with Penrith if you've got the balls and you've got the skill to do it.
Do the Wires have it in them?
They want... No way. The only team that could do that to you... The only team that could do that to you is South.
I think 29.5 is too much still. I wrote down it's been a long year for the Wars. Hopefully they can find some money to give these last 2 games the respect that they deserve. I have a feeling they're going to turn up for this one, eh? I don't know. I've got a week in, week out sort of vibe.
It's going to get a little bit tribal too. The Warriors were spending a lot of Polynesian brothers out there.
Yeah, exactly.
They
got pumped by South. They come and beat the Bulldogs the next week. They got pumped by who last week? Cowboys. I think they'll turn up against the Panthers. And also just with regards to just still going back to that point, Mace, about the premiership coaching thing. A rookie coach doesn't make that move to bring Uppy off. And it was interesting to hear that Ivan said after the game that it was a bit tactical, but also he was trying to give Uppy a rest. I think Penrith will get through this, and this will suit the Cowboys as well. I think they'll rest a few players next week, in particular Isaiah Yao. Yeah. They'll have Jerome probably will play because they'll want to get some reps into him.
He's got named.
Yeah, he's going to play this week. I think a guy, and this is just watching and not knowing the ins and outs of Penrith, I think Brian Toto's been pretty banged up this year. He hasn't recovered fully from that ankle injury. He's not back to his devastating best. His non-devastating best is still top 5 winger in the competition, but he hasn't really taken that number 1 mantle that he's had in the last couple of years.
Another kid got him out of yardage pretty good.
Taylor May's been unreal for him.
He made some massive runs at the back end of the last quarter of that game, coming out of yardage, got him on the front foot. And they were big runs. They were hard runs, and he got through them. You expect those from Toto, but I agree with you. He is probably a little bit banged up.
Yep. And another one is Dylan Edwards. So watch for that.
Just rest him for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
They've already got the minor premiership wrapped up. What are you trying to do?
They could have the Storm week 1. So if you get the opportunity to rest Dylan Edwards, potentially Isaiah Yell, Fisher Harris has come back from an injury. If you get a game into him against the Wires,
when
give
is
him an early
Cleary
mark.
back?
He's round 1, week 1 of finals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So him and Carrigan were the same.
Yeah, I don't think they need. They don't need field time. Do you know what I mean? None of these guys need game time. They just need to be healthy for the finals. That's
Fresh.
all it is.
Makes
they
it
need
dangerous.
to be fresh. It's not gone to those days where you need continuity and like all this kind of stuff coming into a semi-final. I get it if you haven't played all year together, but these guys have been playing together for 5-6 years. They're fine. Rest them. You already got the minor premiership. It's done.
All right, so we're all going Warriors. Let's move on to the second game. Melbourne taking on the Melbourne taking on the Roosters. Melbourne taking on the Roosters. Skip. Melbourne are slightly favoured in this one at Amy Park. The line is -4.5. The over/under is 42.5.
Damn, 42.
One thing I've noticed about Munster, obviously, people will obviously recognise that he's playing really good footy right now. But he's been killing it all year. He was killing on the left side at the start of the year. He's had a mad year. But what I think Prez playing fullback does is he makes everyone else's game's gone up a level since he's gone to fullback. And what I mean by that is sometimes when my little mate's sitting on the left edge and the game plan, there might be a weak side on the left-hand edge, or, it might be to go through the middle. Sometimes you can see him get a little bit frustrated because he's sitting in there. He's like a caged dog. He's a dog, right? Munster's a dog. And if you leave him on that left edge, then he starts to get fucking banging against the fence.
Well, that's when he comes on those inside balls. He starts
exactly. So when he's at fullback, he's not a caged dog. He gets to fucking float around, a bit like Joey Marnie when he plays for the Kiwis. You see Joey popping in, and we'll get to that a little bit with the Roosters. But when Prez is at fullback, everyone else just gets to play their roles, and whenever they identify a crack, Meaney's doing a really good job. He's got Justin on there. He doesn't have to overcomplicate it. But it's been Cheese and Harry in the last 2 games.
Beast.
So because Munster's now in the middle.
Big Nas on that right edge.
Big nasty on the right edge.
And I agree with you. We'll get back to your point. Because, just say if you're a right edge, you know your job is Munster because he's on the left side all the time. Left arm carry, all that kind of stuff. But bounces off his left foot, might go to the other side of the ruck sometimes. Now Munster just stands wherever the fuck he wants, and just say if your left 3 is ordinary, your left 4 is ordinary, he's going to spot you. You're going to get you. And if you're on the other side of the ruck and you're lazy,
scheming.
if you're lazy on the other side of the ruck, he's going to get you. You know what I mean? He gets you when he plays 6 anyway. He comes through the other side and you somehow get on the other side of the ruck and palm 3 blokes off, and he's through. Ryan Madison, Origin.
Yep.
Palmed you off 8 times. And then he went straight
you love bringing up that Madison one,
it
eh?
was awful.
He's got about 5 mentions, I reckon, Madison, on that one play.
So now he can attack wherever he wants, and now, when he gets the ball, he's making all these other ball plays accountable. When Olam's pushing up, look at Olam, how good he's been playing the last 3 or 4 weeks. Hitting holes like he was last year. Looks like the best centre in the world again, like he was last year. And all the other centres and wingers are all pushing up because they don't know what Munster's going to do. He can throw that long ball, he can play short, he can run. Now he doesn't have to do any defence. You know what I mean? Even though he's a strong defender, he's not the sort of bloke you're going to spot up. But he doesn't have to attack. He's not in the front line anymore.
His IQ, I talked about it last week, Mace. So inside the 20, he's been really picking his moments, unreal, shooting from the back, and not only plugging the line. You know they plug the line now, and we used to call it a soft A. Remember, Mace?
I fucking hate that.
You sit down at soft A, and if you're a B, you sort of worry a little bit because you go, fuck, he's a soft A. And the reason they call it soft A is he lines up there, and it's just to present the line like there's 4 down a short side. But when you're the B defender, which is the second one, you know the fullback's going to fuck off at one point.
A.
He's going to shift it.
Fucking how many times I've told Middles that you're A. He's just there to present a number so he can fuck up with the halfbacks counting numbers.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It looks like a 6-4 split. It's not. 7-3.
So you know who gets exposed on it a fair bit? Is Reece Walsh.
Yes,
so whenever
because
he's a soft A down a short side, teams, they're not bluffing anyone out. They've been coming at him, and they either score tries or they create an overlap on the other side.
Tackle. He has a crack.
But you worry about
Matt
it.
Duffy used to get done at St George all the time, and this year when he was playing at the Dogs, I mean, he'd be killing over in Warrington, but I reckon about 5 times they got him because they're hedging their bets already. They're just there just to show that number, and they're already going off sidewards. If you're a big guy, you're looking towards where that small fullback is. You couldn't do it against Greg Inglis. He'd Throw over sideline.
Yeah.
Billy Slater was really good at it.
And they can't do it against Munster.
Because they weren't soft A's. They're there to tackle you. So they will check you and then they will release. Billy Slater was the king at it. Minnie was the king at it. Teddy does it awesome. They never really get caught.
Yeah.
It's these other fullbacks they can really spot up. The littler blokes, the Reece Walshes, the Dufties and all that kind of stuff. The Sloan kid from St. George, he was getting caught because as a big guy, all we'd be doing is just like, all right, we'll try and get to some sort of a point. So he has to be there. And just throw some sort of play at it. Engage your markers, and you're going to score. You're not stopping Big Nas and all these bigger blokes who are scoring those tries. You're not. He's too big.
Yeah, and then what Munster's doing too, so he's sitting there, you call it a soft A, but they've got to change the name for it because he's a fucking hard A because what he's doing, rather than
change that whole fucking thing.
they should call it Munster A.
Oh my God,
so
I hate
basically what he's doing, Mace, and I've said it a couple of times now, he sits down either the short side, sometimes he even sits on the open, flips the extra number to the short side so they're set, and he's shooting through and actually making the tackle. So he's what the reason you do a soft A is present the line and make it look like there's strong numbers, but eventually he's going to fuck off because what happens is you've got to worry about the kick.
Yeah.
But because his IQ's so good, it's almost like he's looking up and so quickly identifying that there's not really shape outside or he's not worried about the kick or it's respectfully again, Sean O'Sullivan, he's not going to get him with the fucking shin kick behind him. So he's coming up and he's shutting down players inside the 20, getting other people in the tackle and then fucking off.
Yeah.
So
I've been watching that because I love that because you know what it is? Him being such a great attacker and then flipping it over as a defender, what he would do in defence if he was attacking. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He knows what sort of numbers there are and he knows what plays are on board. So he can read that shit. If you're not clinical like Melbourne Storm and other teams are real clunky, he'll shut you down. That's his IQ. That's out of this world.
Yeah.
Smart as hell.
But this is why it's dangerous because we're about to start talking about the Roosters. I think the rest of the top 8 will be rooting for the Storm because they're entrenched in the top 4. You don't want to see the Roosters in the top 8. So I think a lot of the teams will be going for the Storm this week. But Radley said it after the Cowboys game last week, Mace. Everyone knows their role. And then therefore, which brings to my point about Munster, Trent Robinson's a smart operator. You know, like he's going to be seeing some of the things that are happening with Munster. You've got little Sammy Walker who loves a little dink in behind, and he's not like other players that have
Kiri's
played
coming
recently.
into his own. Kiri's playing good football.
Kiri's playing really good footy.
Crichton is hitting some good holes.
Watch him.
Manu.
They could try to. This is why it'll show. You know, Munster's eliteness for me as well. He'll be able to adapt to it, but watch out for a nice little kick in behind Munster early. Just
Sam
to keep
Walker
him
has
honest.
that, mate. He has that tool bag.
Just to
He's
keep
got
him
that
honest.
in his toolkit, and I think
He's not scared to pull the trigger.
He's
on
not.
that.
Oh, fucking fuck.
Because
No,
if
it's
he's
the
looking-
opposite.
if
You need him
he's-
to not be scared.
if
Like
he's
you need him to rein it
if
in a
Munster's
bit.
going to be doing that, like in the last couple of weeks against weaker sort of attacking sides in 20s, Roosters pull your pants down.
Yeah.
And I think this will come into how elite his IQ is, whether what he does in that 20.
If you fuck up, Nat Butcher's going to cross the 4 of the best.
And he's been playing outstanding, that Butcher.
Exactly, and those are the little kicks that I'm.
Where's Tupanua?
Those are the little Tupanuas did his ACL, MCL
Yeah.
against the Knights, yeah. And one thing that I thought with the Roosters before we move on from this game as well, Jacko, it's going to be a cracker. It's my favourite game of the week.
Yeah.
I thought goal kicking might be a problem for little Sammy Walker and the Roosters, but he went 12 from 12 on the weekend.
I was at the game. I couldn't believe it. It was fucking windy down
Since he
there.
was like fucking 6.
Yeah.
Well, he started off scratchy,
Yeah,
like
he
he didn't
did,
have the
eh?
legs.
Yeah.
But he's, I don't
squat
know,
rack.
he must have been
It
doing
was a
this.
leg press.
He asked for my legs program,
Yeah,
mate,
he's just-
and he's improved out of sight.
He's doing the Fox's leg press. He's doing the Fox's leg sets.
Anyway, I like Roosters plus 4.5 in that one.
Yeah, 1 to 12, I backed him.
Yeah, I'm going to go Melbourne.
do you reckon,
Melbourne and Melbourne.
I still think Melbourne can beat them, but I think Roosters. I think it's a coin flip, and if I get 4.5 about the Roosters, I'll take it.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Saturday. The Bird Gang against the Canberra Raiders in Canberra. So this is the one that Mace was talking about. If Manly have sort of put the cue in the rack, it's a chance for the Raiders to do
Where's
their
it
thing.
at? Where's it?
In Canberra.
In Canberra.
Yeah, I reckon.
the Lions 14 and a half.
We spoke about what you fucking hate playing Canberra on a Saturday. It's a 3 o'clock game Saturday.
3 o'clock's all right.
Saturday, yeah, I know.
3
It's
o'clock's all right.
only just all right, just because you get a little bit of sun. There might be a little bit of sun out,
Yeah.
but it would be like today. It'd be like freezing. And then
think-
that second half comes.
I think
the
it's
sun
forecast to
the
rain all
sun
week.
Is gone and it turns into minuses. You're like, get me on that fucking bus now.
It might be 5 degrees, but it feels like -5 when you're out of finals
fucking weather
contention.
zone shit. Oh, it's 9 degrees, but it feels like minus fucking 0.0. Oh, it's awful. And I think Manly might be like, you know what, fuck it.
Mate, I'll throw it quickly to you on this one. I'm not sure I want the Raiders to make the 8.
Do you think they deserve to make the 8?
I think they deserve it. They're close a bit, but I just think when I look at all the other teams, potentially
only team that
maybe
they
the
could knock out,
Broncos.
Broncos, yeah.
But I think
You're talking about matchups.
I'm thinking
Talking
matchups.
You want primetime matchups.
I want primetime matchups.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of dogs in the fucking Raiders, and
They've got a bunch of dogs.
they got a bunch of dogs,
They got
and
a bunch of
and
dogs.
like who was they Channel 9 they zoomed in on fucking Mudders Horsburgh. Corey Horsburgh. Did you see the shit?
Oh, I love him.
They held it for so long.
He was there for
He started smirking and everything. So he's like, Horsburgh's looking up. He's a dog, Horsburgh, right?
Yeah.
So he's looking up. They've got it on his head.
Why they hold it for so long?
And they
Get
just
it off
held
his head.
They just held it on Big Red for a minute, and fuck, it made me laugh. But
I like that kid.
yeah, so do I. So do I. Even the little smirk he gave. He's got a bit of shit about it.
He's got
dog.
some shit.
He's a dog.
He'd be awful on Mad Monday.
He would be awful.
Sloppy.
He would be
He'd
awful.
into everything.
Yeah. But anyway, I just don't know. I don't know if I want the Raiders in
He'd
there
be
to be
like that
fair.
person you have to send home like 8 times, and he comes back around. I fucking told you to go home. Still here. I fucking told you to go home yesterday.
Who let him
Still
back
here.
in? Who let Horsburgh back
I
in?
told you to sleep.
Anyway, moving on to the boys. I don't care what I don't care what sort of. They've all been saying the right things, and you know this is. I haven't spoke to the boys about this as well.
What about that little comment? Desi's under the pump.
No,
Surely not. There's no fucking good coaches out there.
Yeah, and
Hasler's one of the best.
and the Manly
Who said it?
Manly.
it was your
Oh, it was
mates.
fucking no. It was one of the legends of the club.
Well, it was picked up on by Phil, Crawley is the one who wrote the story that broke it that Des was apparently on the hot seat.
Paul Crawley thinks.
Yeah.
God damn.
But apparently it's
It'll be sweet.
information leaked from the club, but you never
That's
know.
what I'm saying.
He'll be
Like, they
sweet.
got to understand. I mean, like,
They threw him under the bus with the jersey and fucking 7 boys missing out. Like I don't care.
trying to throw him under the bus for that. He kept that club together.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez.
But at the end of the day, I don't care what, like, the boys have been saying the right things. The boys speak so well about it, but there's a clear disconnect. When you watch them play, and that comes back to defensively, like, there are boys, they were in.
Best thing it can happen for Manly, end the year.
Yeah, I agree.
End it. And then just go back
Get
to the
Turbo back,
preseason.
get Jakey back.
Everything happens. It's a whole new year, whole new feeling. That whole debacle that happened this year will be a distant memory.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Canberra do a number on him down there as well. Let's roll on.
14.5.
14.5's not bad. Mace, we may as well start with you here because it is the Cronulla Sharks taking on your Bulldogs. They're giving up 22 points, 22 and a half points is the line.
disrespectful,
The
isn't it?
over-under is...
Sans respect, eh?
Sans respect.
Sans respect.
How do you think
I
the
mean,
Bulldogs will go?
that's fair. If you go on our performances the last couple of weeks, and the Warriors put 42 on us, and Parramatta put I think 40 on us, 42 on us again.
I think the Cowboys took it out of them. They were in the lead in that Cowboys game, and the Cowboys went bang bang, and they haven't recovered.
Yeah, it was a couple of little things, man. We're building. It'll be all right. It's all learning curves. You know, how to end the season good on a high note. Go out there, go to Shark Park. Just give it your best. That's all we want to see as coaches and fans and players and everything like that. And leave the club on a good note. You know, it's that's all you can do. Sharks are a good team. They're not Penrith. They're not like that elite team where they can't be beat. You know what I mean? Like I think we have a lot of confidence going into every game. It's just like the other teams are just a little bit better. They've got those class players. They've got Nico Hines. They've got some real class wingers. Everything needs to go right with us, you know. So that's something that we can just build on and just get out the Shark Park and just rip in as hard as you can. That's all we want to see. I don't want to see any more blowouts.
Yeah.
I don't want to see like 42-10. And I hate it when Para beats us. It was the best feeling when we got there. That was proper payback. That was in the back of their head from when we got them at ANZ.
Para were pleasures. I remember you said that after the game.
Pleasures.
I'll touch on the Sharkies, Jacko, because they played the Bird game. I was watching them closely on the weekend. They call it fan shape, where everyone back in the day it used to be hold your width and the players would get to you. Now there's this sort of shape I believe it started down at Melbourne, but Nico's the fan shape. Nico's brought it down to the Sharks, and it just suits him and Moiser perfectly. And even a guy like Lockie Miller, because the reason they suit it, and Will Kennedy's gun at it, so when Will Kennedy comes back, like, it suits guys with touch backgrounds. So what it is, it's a bit for Jacko. You'll know, sort of growing up in NZ, how big New Zealand is and touch is. You know how the boys dance around. It's just a different version of it, but they want to set you up to have a crack.
Yeah.
And then once they create a fast play the ball, bang,
come from
a
everywhere.
middle will jump out or a link will pick it up and he'll be bouncing and he'll step off a right foot.
Benji spoke about that on Isaac's podcast. He spoke
Okay.
about how, like, Isaac was talking about how his touch sort of helped his development. He goes, the biggest things was two-pronged. One, he learned how to read body language in defense. And two, when you generate momentum, he said you're waiting for your shot and then you get those instinctive cues when you know when to go. And Nico is obviously one of the best in the game.
That's why he's become.
He starts sometimes behind the play the ball.
Yeah, he does.
Next minute, like that's beautiful. His fan shape's awesome. If you can play it and connect it right, if you have good middles, because they do pass the ball well in the middle, and then bang, bang, bang out the back, and then Nico Hines is right, and it's 3-on-2.
Yeah,
and he
You're
knows
right,
how to
mate,
square.
He starts in behind the ruck.
Yeah, he knows how to square up. He gets a 3-on-2, and then you got Talakai coming back this week. He just runs it outside in line. And if he'd be fanning to the left, he'd be fanning to the right. I love it. I love that shape.
Yeah, and then the thing
It
is,
just disguises it, because especially if you're going against rookie middles who don't know how to count
100%.
numbers, and they're like, oh, it's just a 5-5 split. No. You jump over. It's 6-4 because fucking Hines is behind there. That's what we used to do. That's what Melbourne used to do. They used to have Billy around in the middle. You had Cam trying to engage markers, and then that's when Billy Slater kept going through the middle. Because Cam Smith wouldn't be doing it against someone like me, because I know I would back off.
Yeah.
He wants someone to bite at him, so he can go out to Cooper Cronk and then back into Billy Slater. So you're
got me
engaged.
down in Melbourne.
So
Early
you're
doors,
engaged, but
early in my
he'll
career,
get you early in your career, won't he? But I saw that whole evolution of that whole play, and we were always onto it, because they started doing it about 2004-05. We were already a pretty good defensive team.
Yeah.
And we know what Cam Smith wanted. Don't ever bite at him. Don't ever bite at him. Because then, if you don't bite at him,
he's not going to do it.
He's not going to do it. He'll just pass it to the other middle guy, and then you can check and release and get onto the other prop. But when you see Billy around the middle and you see Cooper Cronk just standing right next to, you got to look at these indicators. Indicators now, when you're playing against Cronulla, you see Nico Hines in the middle of the field, or pretty much on the left side of the post, and they're going to go on that right side shift, and he starts behind the fucking play the ball. He's coming.
You're in trouble when Marsha starts sweeping.
Yeah, mate. I'm
telling you, when him and Moiser have developed it so well, because like I said, and what Mace is leading to, they're setting you up. They want to get you to a spot, but realistically, they're coming for the next play, and it's a pleasure to watch. We always talk shit about being footy IQ. Yeah. What Mace is alluding to, when Tong come to Parramatta, he told me our middle's got no footy IQ, and I didn't know what it meant early on, because I was only fresh in my career. Tongs was probably talking about me, because I ended up getting done on a few plays, and it's something you develop. I didn't realise it. I didn't notice it until I went to Manly.
So I taught Tong everything.
Yeah. So
that's what he's trying to say.
Yeah, exactly. And
if you have big guys that have footy IQ in the middle, you don't make mistakes on the edge and everything like that. We had some pretty smart players. I was fortunate to play with some smart players. Bobcat was smart, Sonny was smart, Rennie was really smart, Roy was smart. Everyone sort of knew their role and understood what was going on, because we see game plan for things as well. Yeah. So I think maybe, I'm not sure what these young kids are doing as middles and stuff like that, but there's more to the game than being big and strong. You've got to fucking think, kids.
Yeah,
you got to think,
and it comes with experience. It
does come with experience, but you got to be watching tape all the time, tape after tape. You can get analytics on anyone now. Anywhere where Nico Hines is, I'll be going, where's Nico Hines coming from? What's his fan shape? Doing video all the time. If I'm left 4 or right 4, all I'm doing is video all week.
100%.
Who's the lead runner? Who's the guys out the back? What's the indicators? Who gets that quick play the ball? Is it going to be Finucane? Is it going to be Tolman, or whoever their front row is? Toby Rudolph.
Indicators. You're looking for your indicator.
You look for the indicators when they go off. What tackle do they usually go off? Is it the 3rd, or is it the 4th? Is it in the 30? Like all this shit that you got to think of, and you got to fucking go through your head.
That's IQ, man.
You know what I mean? But that's the things that I used to think of all the time. I used to think of it, and straight away, bang, everyone on the same page. Because everyone would point out Nico Hines or Cam Smith or Billy and just talk them out of it. And then next minute they go, fuck, they're onto it. Bang, they'll go wide.
That's why, as a purist, speaking like Macy's, when I watch Sharks, I really enjoy watching the Sharks play at the minute.
Yeah, I think sort of on that point as well, in terms of their forward rotation, I've been super pumped to watch. They roll Fafita and Tolman as the two savvy vets off the bench.
Shout out to Fafita too. Big boy's last game at the Sharks, eh?
I read that down,
big
Mace.
boy. Good on you, mate. What a career. What a career.
You started in the back row and then sort of floated to the middle as your career went on. So you're more of a hybrid, but he almost revolutionised the game in a front rower, because he's a front rower. He's a front rower. But he can take it. He's like you. Yeah. You took it on the edge for fucking 40 of the best. He took it straight through the guts and scored some of the better tries. Like there are not
beast,
many.
mate. 14, 15, 16. There was no better prop in the game.
Yeah,
And 17 even.
the run him and Tomalolo went on together, which then ended up translating into what Tonga have become now and what Sarah are trying to do. Mate,
Nothing but love for those guys.
shout out
man.
to Bopper.
Yeah, the big Bop.
One of the greats too.
What's he doing next year?
Well, the rumor is that like he doesn't want to hang him up, so he'd be a handy pickup for anyone if he did want to go around again.
Yeah, maybe overseas.
Maybe overseas.
Because I think he started hitting his straps late in the year because he's got his fitness back. I think he started doing more running, more cardio, and all that kind of stuff because his knees wouldn't allow him to.
And the two boys that speak more highly of him than anyone else is Hamlin Ueli and Royce Hunt. Like they love
They've
him.
been
And
dynamite. Those two kids
the new,
are guns.
Yeah, so they
Royce
start-
Hunt is
they're
both dogs.
Rennie Matua 2.0. He's dog.
Yeah, he's a dog.
He dog. Fucking Royce Hunt.
Old Royce Hunt goes all right.
He looks like Rene. Did you ever see that?
I saw him.
He looks.
Ren's come back in 2008. Throwback.
But what was I going to say? One last thing. Yeah, about Bopper. He'd be a good pickup again for a top team.
You just
Same
have to
thing.
see
If
how his body
these
is, mate.
veterans, the end of their career, go to a fucking. If you get a Bopper it again, like we always revert back to Melbourne for guys like Jimmy Tamou, Bop. Like if they would play for them,
Invaluable.
even Bopper going to a team like Para,
yeah.
losing Oregon Kafusi, they lack real punch coming off the bench. He'd be a good shout for Para.
I don't know if he wants to. It hasn't been.
He'll go around.
I think he'll go around again.
He's playing good footy. Fitzy's rejuvenised him. I dare say that Fitzy would have been a man about it.
100%.
Got him in, had a chat to his face. I seen his press conference and the way he spoke yesterday glowingly about the club and where he's at now. Like, there's so much respect between what Bopper's done for that club, but what also Fitzy's doing. And I think Bopper's bought into and appreciates the plan. He talked about, when Andrew come in there back in the day, they weren't the powerhouse. They weren't the team that went to the grand final. He's well and truly a part of that
He's
rise.
part of that whole
Got him
whole
at GF.
culture.
Fucking scoring that try in the GF.
He should
and
have
then
got
now
Clive Churchill. If
he's
it wasn't for all the
100%.
shit going on, he's the
Yeah,
Clive Churchill.
100%.
No disrespect to Louis, but Andrew Fafita was the best player in 2016 grand final.
I agree. And he's leaving it in a good place, so good on him. And he'll pick up a team.
Could the Tigers do worse than bringing him back for?
No, I wouldn't want to go to the Tigers if I was him.
No?
Yeah,
He's been at such a successful club.
If
For
you,
what,
we're
8 years?
we're
8 or
talking
9
about
years?
James Tamou leaving Tigers to
Yeah,
these
fair
veterans go on small.
Could Melbourne pick him up?
Yeah, so
You know
I can
what I
see
mean? Like,
Melbourne
I think
and Para.
Melbourne can just turn and give these young. I mean, I think they're still young at 32. I still think they're young, and I still think they've got a lot of good football left in
So
them.
do I.
You know, like does Wayne pick him up at Redcliffe? Do you know what I mean? That senior role in there, like come off the bench, give me a good 25. You know, like
I think
but
Wayne's got too many vets now already.
He does have vets, but I'm just saying if he wants, like Jesse Brock, he's a different player
Mm.
for feet. You don't know what the fuck he's going to do. He gives you, but if you get him fit, Wayne's great with older fellas. Like he won't run you into the ground. You'll get those passes, those leave passes sometimes because you've earned it. There's no sports science dude coming around to a 19-year-old saying you've done enough kilometres.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and only winning teams or veterans like Wayne Bennett can give those passes.
I think a Bellamy or a Wayne Bennett can do the world of good for Big Bop.
All right, let's.
I'm
roll
not sure
on.
if he wants to do Melbourne pre-season, but
That's what I was
fuck
gonna say.
that.
Army camp, mate.
3K time trial.
Melbourne
Yeah.
Army camp, work for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he'd go to the Catalans, bro. I'll give him a ring.
Souths taking on the Cowboys on Saturday. That is the second game scope. You get $1.50 head-to-head for Souths. So they are favourite, -6.5. The over or under is 48.5.
Dearden's a big out. Dearden misses the game. Scotty Drinkwater goes
He's
to
up for his testicle.
yeah.
Damn.
He's a fucking
Someone else did that this year.
Chanel.
Chanel.
Chanel did it.
Yeah,
that's
the
right,
young
yeah.
kid from the Warriors.
He played on.
What's happening?
Why are they playing with
What are you doing?
testicles being
how long
ruptured?
are you out for?
They said 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, a couple of weeks.
He's
Chanel
been
missed a couple of
outstanding
games.
since he played Origin. Did
Unreal. So Drinkwater will flow to 6. Hamaso, good replacement, comes at a
they
fullback.
don't lose much.
Yeah.
They don't lose much.
Just been a bit
because of the fact
clunky.
that Drinkwater, I mean, it will be because
Yeah.
Drinkwater's he's found his groove out the back there. Hammer's only been coming off the bench. He's been playing centre. He's been playing fullback. They've been pulling. It sounds weird, pulling these other guys off.
You knew it was coming. We
Yeah,
kept
you
on
and I
going.
just had to keep it mature, not. These other guys are coming off. They might give Val Holmes a rest. They might give Hiku a rest, and they've been putting the hammer on there.
Yeah, they have been,
So
yeah.
now, at least you're going to give him some
Big
game
minutes.
time, some
Yep.
big minutes. You know what's going to happen in the finals. Injuries can happen. Drinkwater goes to 6, and then you put another. I'm not sure who they're going to put on the bench, but obviously another versatile sort of player.
One of the strengths for Dearden Mace has been his running game. I hope Drinky doesn't come in and revert back to trying to ball play.
No.
He just keeps that running game because he's got the silk to finish off plays that Hammer hasn't been able to with, throughout the year. But his strength is his running game. So hopefully just continue to do what Dearden and yourself, Drinky, have been doing. Keep running the footy. Hammerso will pop up through the middle because there'll be moments of opportunity through the middle against South. I love their forward pack, but there are moments where they sort of start to drop off.
Gilbert's back? Gilbert's back?
Tom Gilbert, yep. Tom Gilbert's back, yeah.
I'll double check.
I think he's been playing off the bench.
Nanai.
Yes, Tom Gilbert is in the 14 jersey. Yeah.
In the 14 jersey,
they
yeah.
brought
Because they've got
outside
Luch.
back row.
They've been starting Luch.
Luch, yeah. So what about him? He would have been, coming last this year, or equal last. Now he goes up there. Could be possibly
Could win a
playing
comp.
in the finals. Could be preliminaries. You know what I mean? Like, that's a great move. I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
He
still
suits
like
their
the
style of
Rabbitohs.
play because he doesn't have to worry about anything else. He has to worry about being on that left edge and just running over people.
Yeah.
He's an animal.
Fucking getting up.
It's just big.
I love Luch. I was high on
always had
Luch
a
when he was
great
at the
one.
Tigers, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Tigers,
Speaking of Tigers, Skip, where you go?
they play the Dragons this week. The last two games are going to be a tough carry, but let's get through them. For their fans that are watching, Mace, just a shout out to Benny Hunt again, holding up Jaden Campbell on a crucial part of the game. And this guy deserves a shout out too. I'm high on Tyrell Sloan. I think he's going to be a real player of the future. His confidence has been knocked around. But on the flip side of that, Cody Ramsey was being tossed in, sometimes at the dismay of their own. Is dismay the right word?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, dismay of their own fans at the Dragons. But fuck, he's done well, man. And he's just put on a little bit more weight. So when I was watching that game, I was watching Jaden Campbell.
I didn't know who it was when he cut his hair.
Yeah, he looks good with his hair shaved as well.
Ramses.
He looked like,
Ramses, he's the best.
and this is respectfully, he looked like a junkyard dog, like before back in the day. Ramsey.
He just got him out of Warilla Gorillas.
What's
or something.
the
He was a throwback.
What's Joe Dirt? He was fucking Joe Dirt sort of vibe,
Joe
Ramsey. But I think watching both fullbacks, I was watching Jaden Campbell in it. Jaden Campbell's just missing a bit of a growth spurt like Ramsey's had this year. So the
Another
last couple of
pre-season.
years,
One
maybe
more.
a pre-season away, just need to put on a little bit more weight because there's a couple of opportunities. Obviously the try against Benny Hunt where he was basically over the line
He just goes.
and Benny Hunt just ripped him up, pulled him up
Big
over the
arms,
line.
Ben Hunt.
But yeah, Penny Hunt's
Monster,
he's a weapon. But the thing that I noticed about the Dragons, and this is what I've been saying all year, they play such a conservative style of footy under hook. They've shown in the last couple of weeks with Talatau Amone scoring fucking tries for fun now, and they're throwing the ball away. They've got nothing to lose at the moment, so they're playing a bit of footy. And they've been able to rack up some
Hand
points.
breaks off.
They've got the handbrake off because they've got nothing to lose,
Because their forwards are so boring to watch.
Yeah.
Their front rows, you got DeBellin in there, and you got
Woods and
Woodsy,
Laurie.
and you've got the other big boy,
Laurie.
You know what I mean? They're very one-dimensional, and they're all about. They look to me like they're stat men. They just want to get their 150 meters up.
They
all
do
that
give
kind
you
of
that
stuff.
vibe,
You
eh?
get that stat vibe where it's just like there's no real second phase. It's very, very. You can see when DeBellin's going out the back.
Sometimes that's coaching though too, mate.
No, it's very pedestrian. It's just very pedestrian. And you got Tarek at lock. You've been mucking him around at left edge, right edge, lock, front row, all that kind of stuff. There's no continuity in their pack. They haven't been working as a forward pack.
Tarek will kill
usually-
the Storm next year.
And I think they've got one of the best forward packs in the game, but they just don't work together. It's very pedestrian. And you can just sort of, if you're a good defensive system, you're not getting through it.
Yeah. They've got none of them have
Scott's been
got
saying that all year.
none of them have got a license to do anything outside of carry, get their numbers
Yeah.
up. That's what it feels like.
feels
like
like
they
that.
go on a video and they're criticised heavily if they play anything outside of the structure. Whereas in the
fucking
last couple of
stupid
games,
structure.
Benny Hunt and you've got Talatau
Jack Bird's been going a bit
Talatau, you know who Talatau Amone reminds me of? Sorry, Jacko, I'll come back to you. But he reminds me of Dill Brown, like a young Dill Brown.
Yeah, all right.
He's got a bit of that about him. Sorry,
He
Jacko.
can play,
No,
man.
I was just staying on their forward back. So obviously Jack Bird has been playing centre, but he's one of those sort of, he gets that Cam Munster about him where he gets a little bit.
He just because you're not getting the ball, mate.
Yeah.
Because I said like the front rowers and everything, they're responsible for getting those long shifts.
He does go looking for it
When
now.
they
but
do
it's,
those block shapes and everything like that, and then but it's so pedestrian. If you've got a good defensive system, A, B, and C, you're moving up and you're shutting the guy out the back down easily because you know DeBellin's not passing it to Laurie.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter, But if you've got Carrigan and you got fucking Payne Haas, I'm like shit. He could pass to
Yeah,
Payne
this
Haas
could go anywhere.
'cause he's catching
He could
it,
throw a
see,
cutout to Cobbo.
He's getting it, and exactly. If he's got that skill, and if he sees the guys jumping up on the 7, he could throw a cutout through Ben Hunt and then over to the other guy, the other fullback. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what these guys can do now. Like you do that to Victor Radley, you shoot up on Walker or something like that. He's got plan B.
Yeah, he's that one over the top
He's
to
got the one
Suolai
over the top. He's got
a couple
one
of
over
weeks
the
ago
top.
against
Or
the
he
Cowboys.
goes himself. He knows he picks his poison, you know what I mean? Because he reads defense is good. So does Cam Murray. Carrigan's up there. Jake Trbojevic does it good. Isaiah Yeo does it good because they get shape with them all the time. It could be one person inside to hold the A up. You got the lead runner. You got the guy at the back. That's the shape you need if you're lock. Or even if you're a front rower going to the line with that shape. You can't just go there fucking just one with your other front rower. It's going to get smashed.
Yeah.
And that's what they look like they're doing all the time.
100%. For the Tigers, quickly before we move off, just the roster's just not there. It's been a long season. They want to be over. Shout out to Manu Brown for the vulnerability post that he put up. He talked about, being down on himself, and this, Mace, you talked really well about it last week about the mental health with regards to Paul Green. Yeah. Showed a real sense of vulnerability and got a really good support off the back of it. So good on you, brother. He's always
it's hard to be vulnerable. It's very hard to be vulnerable, especially playing in this game that we play in. It's you're not supposed to be show any signs of weaknesses or anything like that. And he showed he was vulnerable. So hats off to him. And the comeback that he's had, where he's been the last couple of years.
He's playing good footy, man.
And he's been playing some really good football. So
he's moving a lock for him on the weekend too, by the way.
Yeah,
he's moving out of 9.
That skill. He has that skill.
That could suit him.
He can play 9-6 lock. Yeah. He's just a genuine ball player. And he can tackle well.
Always done training with Travis. He's always been such a nice guy as well.
Yeah. Good fella.
He's very self-aware, Manu. Right, let's roll on. Last game scope. It is the final game on Sunday at Seabus Super Stadium. The Gold Coast Titans taking on Newcastle Knights. The Titans are the favourites, -6.5, and your line, or your over-under rather, is 55.5. So we're expecting some points.
Fuck, that's a lot of points. If Toby Sexton is healthy, Mace, he has to be playing. So I've seen him sitting on the sideline. They talked about being rested. Tanner Boyd, he's a solid squad member, mate. If I've got him as my 21, 22 to come and play a bit of 9, play a bit of halfback while my players are injured. But you've got to find out if Toby Sexton is the guy. You've got Fozzie coming up next year. You've got AJ Brimson that's playing well in the 6, but it's not his natural position.
Is Boyd a 9? Who's coming up there as 9? I think
they've
Boyd,
signed Sam Verrills. Sam Verrills is going to be good.
Sam Verrills is a decent player. And then you got Fozzie.
If Tanner Boyd's my 14 or potentially my 21 who's going to come on, if there's injuries or something happens to one of the big dogs, I'm stoked.
Could be part of this problem of these developments.
Yeah.
Developing halves. Throw him in the deep end in a really ordinary side.
Yeah.
And then
bring out
soon as he doesn't kill it or show massive promise, you just flick him. Can't do that. Look, like they did that to the young Dearden kid. Now look at him.
Yeah.
It's one of the best sixes in the game.
That's a good shout. That's a really good shout.
So you got to understand, you got to take your time and cultivate these younger kids, work on their weaknesses, work on their strengths, work on their mentality, everything like that, how they approach games, everything like that. See what you can get out of him, and then you make a rule on him.
Yeah.
No, I think he's 21?
And he's going to need the runs on the board to play with Foz because Foz is going to get into him. Like, Foz is going to come up there and he's not going to stand for any of the shit that's been happening.
But Foz can make him better.
Yeah.
Foz can make him better because Foz can play 7 and 6. So I think he's going to be one of their best buys for the last 5 years, I reckon. So I think what he's going to do up there, the leadership, the teams that he's been in, the clubs that he's been through, all the shit that he's been through off the field, he can really get that into that young squad. He's one of the best blokes. And he's one of the best blokes to ever play the game.
Yeah.
And I just think he's going to be one of their best buys. But I want to see what Sexton's got.
Yeah.
I want to see it. I haven't seen enough yet. I want to see 50 games.
Especially against the Knights too. Like, it's a good opportunity to see what the fucking...
I just don't want to see kids have 1 season, 1.5 seasons, and then you just go, he's done, he's not good enough. That's what they do with these halves. I want to see at least 2 full seasons.
Good shout about the Dearden. I think that Dearden was a big one.
Dearden, was that come straight out of school, got to play against grown-ass men? No, sink or swim. No, we don't like him. We'll go to somewhere else. The young kid, Ashley, the kid that was at the Titans.
Ash Taylor went up there. Yeah.
Bang, throw him $1 million. Sink, no, didn't play well enough, not good enough, don't develop, don't cultivate, don't do anything for him. It's up to the clubs. It's up to the development. It's up to the coaches.
Yeah, 100%. Just moving on to Fafita now, mate. They're still throwing and hoping. He's playing better the last 2 or 3 weeks.
He spoke
been
after
giving him the
game.
fucking ball at the right time.
Yeah.
He spoke after the game glowingly about Tanner Boyd in regards to how comfortable he feels playing.
Oh, well, that's a big reason. And that's why.
That is the reason.
If he's got the runs on the board.
I was going to say someone come out and said, I love the way Tanner Boyd plays.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of times where
that makes
the
sense
young
then.
kid Campbell takes a lot of his real estate up.
Yeah.
Real estate, when I say like listeners at home, like where Fafita's usually stands on like a 20 metre, like the 20 metres in, they cramp into that, so everyone comes up and slides, and it's usually 2-on-1 against Fifita all the time. I know he's a dominant big runner, but he needs either early ball or he gets a ball when it's 1-on-1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and they never give it to him in the right time. Now they've been giving it to him at the right time because Tanner Boy's gone, here, early ball, big boy, go do your thing, or he gets on the other side of the ruck, he can play wherever. I just think he should be playing lock so he can attack both sides of the ruck because I don't want to sit him on one side. Because what I'm going to do as a defensive system is put that one extra player there, and that's what they're doing. You know, I'll dare Sexton to go down that other side. You know, that's what they're doing. So if I'm had him on the left edge, which I think that other Furmore kid's been playing so good on the left edge as well.
He's been killing it.
He's been killing it. He's been the player of the year.
Fifita.
Because of Fifita. Because they're putting that extra number in Fifita, so he's getting one-on-ones on the other side. Yeah. That's how it works. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So like, if you can even it all out. Because
he's no slouch. He's a gun.
He can play. He hits holes good. He does everything good. So if you can just even it up a little bit, get Fifita early ball when he needs it, like they hit those holes, because the kid's got skills like a halfback. You know what I mean? So just play the kid right, coach him right, and you'll get the best out of him.
All right, before we move on, finish off the preview though. Last little one on the Knights. There's a little player in Sexy Texy. He needs to go. Hopefully he goes over to the Super League, gets his confidence, and comes back, because there's something there in him. There's something there in a few of these players. The Knights, they had a tough week. They lost Frizz in the warm up, and this is a part that people have got to realise too. So when you look at these teams that are struggling down the bottom, Frizz has been playing banged up all year. Like, he's had a rib injury, and you know what it's not like, mate. When you're a team down the bottom, and apparently they've been telling him to rest. Physios have been telling him to fucking have a couple of games off. He's been refusing. He had to get ruled out in warm up in this game. So when you look at your team sometimes and you think, players that, across the board, some players don't care. There's some guys that are doing some really big things, and I feel for players like that, because Frizz gives his 100 every time. They lost to Feedy as well. I don't know if it was before the game, maybe captain's run. But the Knights, they just ran it.
It's a proud town, and they've underperformed this year. They come out of the blocks at the start of the year, and everyone thought they're going to win the grand final. Then all the realists come into, and then they just fell into it. You have a look at their team talent wise. Like, just say when they're all on board, you're like, fuck, you got 5 or 6 representative players in your forward pack, but you can't win comps with Clune and Clifford. Sorry. And Brayley got injured at the start of the year, so you're putting that other kid in who wasn't really a first grader, done his job. Brayley comes back at the back end.
He's been nice, Brayley, since he's come back.
Football. He's had some really bad injury runs. They just lost that. They just lost something in the middle of that year. Ponga got injured for about 6 weeks before Origin, I think. A couple of little things there. They rely on Ponga so much for that. Yeah, they do.
Thing. They're so reliant on him.
He's only finished 7 games.
Tex Hoy started playing some good football. Everyone was coming in and out of seasons. In and out. Yep, playing good, playing bad. Playing good, playing bad. So inconsistent. You just can't win anything like that.
All right, that's it for the YKTR Sports Show. See you next week. Mace, you back, baby?
Yeah, I'm back.
Let's do it.